Are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, good morning. What's going on, guys?
Good morning, gang.
We all survived. I hope we all survived. At least the three of us have survived.
Trial by fire. Trial by fire water.
Yeah. I know there were a lot of close calls out there, especially people that went to Puerto Vallarta after the conference. We'll get into that, I'm sure. Ulysses, you went down there, right? You were down there?
Yeah. No, yeah. It was loads of fun, and then it got really exciting for a day or so.
Bawdy, did you go down there too? Were you in Puerto Vallarta as well?
I was still in my central Mexico city.
Okay.
It was quieter than COVID here, honestly. Like, there was more noise outside my window during COVID than during Sunday, Monday.
Oh, really? Everybody was hunkered down, huh?
Yeah, everyone was actually quédate en casa, including myself, finally.
Well, yeah, I guess we might as well just get into it now. I mean, we didn't do a show last week just because I was trying to take a little bit of break. Was considering not doing one this. Oh, thank you, brother. Was considering not doing one this week as well, just to continue the break. But I just can't. There's so much going on, and I just can't step away right now. A lot going on in the world. A lot going on in Moneroland. Monerotopia was epic. I mean, you guys. Well, I'm sure you have your own opinions, but that is my genuine opinion. Obviously, maybe it's not unbiased, but I thought it was amazing. I think it was the best one we've had so far.
It seemed to go the smoothest.
Yeah, it went the smooth. So from our perspective too, because things were smooth behind the scenes, so it just made it easier for us. There was less stress involved. Yeah. But then, obviously, just the people that came out and the amount of Monero usage that was taking place in the marketplace, the media attention that we were getting, so much. I mean, I think it was great, and then just people just hanging out and vibing. I'm sure.
2018, 2019 kind of vibes.
What's that?
Everyone just excited, good times. The conference going really smooth. Like, just everything on point.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, we had, like with every conference, there's some drama that happens at some point. This one was pretty serious, and we don't have to get into it too much today because I don't have too many more details. But that was when Ray Youssef gave his talk and then was abruptly whisked away afterwards. My understanding, it was on the street outside of the venue. I'm going to be speaking to Ray this week. We're going to do a Monero talk. I know I think he did a podcast, right? So the word is already out there. He's been talking about it. So we'll have Ray on Monero Talk this week. He was going to jump up here today, but it was too hectic. So that was the only hiccup. Luckily, he's okay. We'll get the full story. My understanding, I think he's got an ankle bracelet on. He's not allowed to leave the U.S. Yeah, but things could be worse. We'll get the full details this week on Monero Talk. So that was the only. I think that was the only hiccup. Obviously, not a small one. Quite serious. When it happened, I didn't really know what, I was told to not say anything. So we didn't talk about it, which made things a little awkward because it was like slowly leaking. I mean, a lot of people knew. Although a lot of people didn't know, actually. Guys was still talking to people at the end before I even brought it up publicly. So it was a little strange in that respect. And then we finally brought it up at the end of the conference. Cat was out of the bag. But luckily he is okay. And other than that hiccup, I would say everything else was pretty smooth up until we left, right? And then as soon as we got out of Mexico and the conference ended, a lot of drama ensued after. So we were fortunate in that respect to miss that part. Anarchopoko got the brunt of that one, and that's the narco terrorism that broke out swiftly after the conference.
That's one way to put it.
And in I'm sure Bawdy has his opinions, and I'd love to hear them. I'm sure they're quite accurate. And I think a lot of it broke out in Puerto Vallarta. You guys can give me details on that. But I guess before we fully jump into that, I mean, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the conference. I mean, Ulysses, what was your take? And then we could do a full debrief too later in the show when we do viewers on stage.
Yeah.
We could get people to come. I'm sure Alaska has things to say about it. And we could debrief. It's good to talk about it now while it's fresh in everybody's minds, so we could try to tweak it for next year.
Yeah.
Or a year and a half from now. There's going to be a little bit of a break. We got a baby on the way. I'm sure you can hear the other one in the background now, and I got to run to the other one for Taekwondo in a little bit. So we're gonna take a little bit of a break. It's probably gonna be a year and a half. I mean, this one was a year and 3 months, so it wasn't a year. It went by really fast for us. Didn't feel like it was that long in between the last two. So I'm sure this one will come up fast too. But a year and a half on calendar, and obviously we don't know where we're gonna do it yet, and we could get into this. Probably thinking one more time at Huerta Roma. I know I keep saying that. I don't want to overdo it, but I also don't want to leave when I feel like we're on the brink of leaving a lasting impact there. Like we're so close to crossing over that tipping point where Monero is just on its own, actively used at Huerta Roma. We'll get into that more. There's specific reasons why I'm saying that, beyond the fact that vendors are just using it more. But yeah, that's where I'm currently at.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ulysses, man, chime in. What do you think?
I mean, first up, I actually kind of like the idea of spacing out the events a little bit more, because it is nice to just have that extra prep time.
Yeah,
because it does make it smooth, and the smooth experience in prepping the event is very, very nice.
Yeah, distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? People miss it more. By the time we have it, everybody's ready for the next one.
Yeah. And it's the other thing though. It's like it's really hard to find a venue that's better than Puerto Roma. Like I don't know if that's
really
possible.
Is.
There's so many things about that place and the people there that make it such an ideal place for an event like Monerotopia.
Yeah, you can't really replicate it because it's not just the space; it's the community that's there. That's what makes it so amazing. That place is just so alive with people coming in there, new vendors, new ideas. It's very open. Obviously, they're quite socialist, right? It's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting. Like I feel like they're extreme left, and perhaps the Monero community is more extreme right, although we do have extreme left people in the community. Basically, we cross over at anarchy, right? So it's like whether you're a leftist anarchist or a right anarchist, that seems to be where the overlap is in their community and the Monero community. People that don't want to abide by
I think
the
there's like a healthy
authority.
distrust of government in general.
Exactly.
And,
I mean, look at what they've done, right? I mean that venue was basically adversely possessed by them. That was public land that they took over. I think it was in the late 80s or early 90s. It was after the earthquake. A couple of buildings had fallen down, and people just essentially started living in the park, squatting. Yeah. And then they made a community. It'd be like, like some of these things we've seen, right? Like it'd be like if Washington Square Park became
yeah, or like what was that thing they set up? Yeah, what was it, the Taz or something?
Or Occupy Wall Street. Like it's like if Occupy Wall Street never left.
Actually functioning correctly versus just turning into a complete shit show.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why it's so special, because it's the people there. They're just like, oh no, we're just squatting this. Like, we're taking over and we're
Yeah,
doing a good thing with it. Like, they provide a huge benefit to the community around them.
yeah.
And it's like, it's a beneficial thing. So much to the point that I think like the mayor is just like, keep on doing what you're doing, guys.
Oh yeah, it makes Roma. I mean, it is the heart of the Roma district, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's amazing vibe.
Yeah. So,
And,
like, that's, I have no idea if you could ever find a different space in a different city that could like replicate that.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking is, let's say we leave after next year and we fully got Monero integrated. The goal with the next one would be not only to just, replicate, like you said, find another place like that, but build another place like that, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
start a Monerotopia somewhere, right? That's
Yeah.
just kind of a permanent presence. Which,
Yeah, I think
I don't
that's
know.
actually
I don't
that's
know
another reason why
Yeah.
I think Monerotopia is like super unique, because it's not like just a, hey, everybody come here and like, show off your stuff. It's almost like it's a work in progress. We're just like, we need to build and reinforce these spaces so that they can continue without having to have like an event happen there every year. Like, how cool is that to know that like if you come to Mexico City and you go to Huerta Roma, you're going to be able to use Monero. You're going to be able to exchange with like the vendors there, and to have that just baseline all the time. Like, yeah, that'd be great to see this spread to other cities as well. And like Monerotopia events happening consistently, kind of like, hey, we're building this thing, and then when it's set, we're off to the next place.
Yeah, we leave behind a Monero accepting marketplace
Yeah.
in a major city. I mean, that's freaking awesome.
I love
like,
that idea.
I mean, that's pretty much like what Bitcoin did, right? With Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, right? So, but doing it through a marketplace makes a lot of sense, especially
Yeah.
for Monero.
Yeah.
I
I've not
don't know.
been to the Bitcoin Beach, so I don't know what the experience actually is.
I haven't been.
And
Can't
like,
really
I
trust
have
the
my
place.
doubts that it's anything like Monerotopia.
Yeah,
It's one of those things you have to go see for yourself, because the people that heavily promote
were
it
you there?
probably. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no. Have you been to Bitcoin Beach?
Oh, no, I have not. But if I was gonna like try to make a judgment, I'd want to see it for my own eyes, because I wouldn't trust the maximalists to promote it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I really don't have any desire to go down there. I mean, unless we eventually go down there and try to get them all to accept Monero. Like, that would just be hilarious.
Just invade.
Next Monerotopia, Bitcoin Beach, we're taking over.
Yeah, fuck it, we can do it. I'll be motivated. That'd be funny. Oh my
The
god.
Monero Marines have arrived.
Hanging out with Bukele. They'd be like, no!
You gotta take lightning, bro.
Max Kaiser would try to have us arrested and thrown in prison with the MS-13.
I would show him my tether. I'd be like, "Don't worry, bro. I have tether. It's okay. We're the same."
Fucking Kaiser. Bawdy, what was your take, man? Bawdy had a good time. Bawdy, that was a good indication when I see Bawdy just loving life, fully enjoying Monerotopia. That's when I know we're on to something good. What was your take, Bawdy?
It was beautiful, man. It was a great time. Maybe there's nothing I could criticize about it at all. Like, it was fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, we could. Obviously, there's always we could continue. The AV worked out really well from our end. The stream was fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
fantastic.
obviously,
AV.
sound could be a little bit better, but there was really nothing. The lighting, like compared to years past, where like electricity wasn't even working for portions of the conference.
Yeah,
really
they
come
have
a long
angry
way,
yoga, cacao ceremonies going on. They're like, everything out. We got to do our cacao yoga.
Oh my
thing.
god! Yeah, we didn't have any of those incidents. I think we get along better now with the locals a little bit.
Yeah.
And the people that ran the AV were fantastic, and they're local to Huerta Roma. They also perform. I don't know if you noticed, but they performed too at live. They were part of that band that performed at the end.
Yeah. Was it Maya Well or something like that? Yeah.
Something.
I think it was this. Yeah, one of those guys. He's in multiple like little mini bands, all kind of associated with that project.
Yes. He arranged all the music that came.
Yeah.
And they did a great job streaming it and just keeping the stream up
Yeah.
and organizing it. It just looked great. It was fantastic. So yeah, well, I mean, that's hard too, right? Like if I leave there, I gotta find good AV again. I gotta find, those. It's much easier to scale it in the same place with the same setup than
The
to
AV
start in a new place.
The AV
Yeah.
was good for streamers as well. Like this
Shortwave, what's up, brother?
Streamers. Hello.
Yeah. How was it from your perspective, man?
It was a very good conference, and as I was saying, the AV was actually really, really good this year. There was a few cutouts, but nothing nearly like it was in past. So it's gotten way better.
And we finally started using XMR chat because we were organized enough to be able to keep attention to that. So people were, they were bringing up the XMR chats and Q&A. Right? I believe so, right, Shortwave? That was going pretty smoothly,
Yeah,
I think.
They were. There was a few times where chats didn't get answered, but in a lot of cases they did. So that was much better too.
Which is awesome from the perspective of the viewers. And just awesome that we're using XMR chat to do that, right? Like it's actually working as a tool, making sense.
I'm having a hard time hearing shortwave. Is that just me?
I hear him all right. Maybe
Yeah, I think I
he's
heard
a
him
little
fine.
low. Let me see if I can raise his volume a little bit. Shortwave, what were your thoughts too, in terms of content and what was going on?
I thought it was really good. I didn't pay attention to the Spanish talks because I don't speak Spanish, so I just kind of tuned out for that
Fair
portion
enough.
of the. I just tuned out for that portion of the conference. But other than that, it was really good.
Yeah, during that portion, that's when we had a lot of the workshops going. That was another great thing. We actually got workshops working this year. People actually knew where the workshops were. They were upstairs, right? The first year nobody knew that we were having that there was even a second stage that we had set up there. And the workshops were packed. The Xano Edge workshop was fully packed. They were very happy about that. It was super cool. People were actually workshopping. Maybe we get the hackathon going again in a better way. That would be a nice addition. I guess we could get into the idea, Ulysses. Should we do it? Because I can't contain myself. Very excited about it.
Yeah. So another reason why Huerta is such a fantastic place is they have a local currency project going on. I think it's called, Semilla? Valor Semilla. And currently the idea is it's basically, again, a local project, local currency for that area. And you can spend this for, I think, organic compost and gardening materials. And then I think at certain points in the year,
it's basically backed, redeemable for 10 pesos worth of seeds, or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
But then the idea, compost.
It has more value than fiat because it's based.
It's actually
some real shit.
But it's printed like monopoly money. And this isn't the first attempt at something like this in Mexico, right? Tumen coin.
Yeah.
We had heard quite a bit about. No relation to me, by the way. I was like, do not associate me with the Tumen coin. Tumin. But now this might be Tumen coin. No, I don't want this to be associated with me either, by the way.
We'll have you on there as official something of something or other. Fancy title, and so you have to scribble your signature on the money.
Yeah, this is something Huerta Roma is already doing. So like we said, they're anarchists, right? And one of the things they want to do is they want to use their own money. They don't want to be using the state's money. They understand why that it sucks value out of their community. So they want to use their own money, and they want to create a circular economy using their own money. Sound familiar? I mean, it's basically what we do here every day. So it's
in alignment.
The perfect overlap. So they're already launching this money, trying to launch it. They've already printed it out and starting to use it. And the idea is they get all the vendors to use it among each other and to start valuing it at what they're denominating these things at, which is just backed by theoretically seeds or compost. And you're trusting them to print them, right? There's obviously counterfeit concerns, but a lot of that's kind of overlooked because of the trust this community has, right? They're okay with trusting a central issuer, right? So perhaps we don't align in that regard, in that we're more idealistic. But yeah, to cut to the chase, the thinking is, and this didn't come out of me bringing it up to them. It came out of them bringing it up to me, which is amazing. I had heard about this during the conference. Somebody else came up to me like, yo, Doug, look what they're trying to do in Huerta Roma. They're trying to make their own money. And like instantly thought of, wow, how amazing would it be if they backed it with Monero? And before I could even bring that up to Paco, he came up to us, showed us the money, and he's like, hey, and he's like, I don't know, maybe there's something with Monero here. And we were like, right, Ulysses was there.
Oh, I was super excited. I was just like,
we had a whole
absolutely.
conversation about it, and then we ended up having a separate meeting about it. But yeah, the idea being that we essentially teach them how to add Monero to these notes. Ironically, it's called seed money because it's backed by seeds, which is the name that still would translate and work for, Monero seed money, right? So the idea being that we would add Monero seeds, Monero private keys, Monero seed phrases to the money.
Oh, that would be epic.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So basically Monero bearer assets. This isn't a novel idea, right? You have, what are they called? Cassatious coins or whatever. There was a Monero, Bitcoin attempt. I was researching, I forget the name of the company. Noteworthy, I think it's called. You guys can look that up. I can bring it up on screen. Actually, it was very interesting. They had some big names involved. Basically, they were printing Bitcoin notes and embedding the keys in them, and then using tamper-proof stickers on them, and using tech to make it where it wasn't easy to counterfeit them. Obviously, there's rules and regulations, perhaps that you could run into here in the States, and I think that's why they kind of stopped doing what they were doing, although they had some really big names behind them. One of the people working on the project was from the Treasury Department, from like that started working on this. Whatever. That aside, Huerta Roma wants to do it on their own, not us, right? So this is them. This isn't Monero Talk LLC. This is their own project that they're already doing. Like we said before, they seem to be allowed to do things there, right? The government considers it a testing ground for free liberating ideas, as long as nobody's hurting anybody else, right? So,
Yeah.
they seem to be okay with them experimenting with this. So why not teach them how to add Monero to it and turn it into kind of Monero bearer assets?
That would be epic.
I really like this idea too, because I think some of the issues with the vendors is, just the technical thing where it's just like, oh, we got to the thing saying you need to wait, to see all the pending transactions. But if it's all here on paper, and it's just like, okay, cool, here you go.
Right.
And then, and you can exchange it without internet. That's the big thing.
I mean, it's
like
the holy grail. I mean, granted, people will still be an onboarding to like Cake, right, and Edge and these other wallets, because people are gonna want to reclaim their Monero at times and stuff. They're gonna want to make it digital so they can buy stuff online, right? But they're also going to want to just keep them in physical form, because theoretically, they'll be worth more than the Monero that's in them, right? Similar to a gold back having more value than the amount of gold that's in it, because you get this added utility of it being a physical bearer asset. So people are going to, I theorize that they're going to want to keep it in physical form, similar to the way we keep. Obviously, it's easier to take the Monero off of one of these than to just take the gold out of a gold back, but I do think people want to keep them in Monero in physical form. But they'll also, perhaps if they get a large enough note or enough of them, they'll want to move it to the digital.
And see, that's the thing. When you redeem these notes for Monero on the blockchain, the note gets physically destroyed, tampered with, or whatever. So you can see that the private key has been revealed. So you know not to accept it as a physical bearer asset anymore. And the person who gets it, who has it before, who redeems it, knows that it's been redeemed, so they don't try to spend it again.
Exactly. So we just need to, help them come up with what the ideas could be on how to implement this. I have some thoughts, but we need to like get down to the nitty gritty. I would love for somebody. I know Ulysses is very interested in this.
I'm chomping at the bit,
especially from the aspect of being able to design these notes.
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's going to be a whole negotiation with them. We've already had issues with some of their artists, right? Some of their, which is understandable. I think we made peace with them.
Good.
We had to pay for a piece of artwork at Huerta
No,
Roma
it was just a pile of plumbing equipment.
It's
I'd
all.
like to hear more about this, but maybe it's not the right moment. I don't know.
I mean, it was all innocent. Basically, somebody knocked over one of the art installations that was there. Now there's people have varying opinion. No, I don't think it could have been. It was literally right at the entrance in that big blue entranceway. And we were moving tables around. I think it was the media company, that set up the table there. They might have been the ones that actually hit into it.
It's easy to blame the media. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, we can blame the media. But it was literally, the artwork was, and it's open to interpretation, but it literally, I think it was a broken toilet bowl, and they used the porcelain to just hang it off of this metal thing. And yeah, I don't know what it was supposed to represent or whatever. I mean, but you can say that about a lot of different artwork, abstract art. But yeah, apparently the person greatly valued this thing. They were very upset.
Yeah,
yes, they were very upset when somebody accidentally knocked it over.
I would have looked at it as a chance to engage that creative thing that, it's like, oh, let me incorporate all these broken bits and make a new version of the thing. But.
Well, she was very smart about it because she's probably sold her first piece of art. We were forced to buy her out. We have to keep the people happy at Huerta Roma,
That's true. Yeah.
But so I'm sure she's on our side now, and so are the other artists at Huerta Roma.
She's just going to keep building more and more precarious things and just put them directly in the walkway now.
More capitalist than we realized.
We want to get Ulysses involved in designing the money. Right, that would be awesome. So if we could get Huerta at least be a contributing artist to the notes, I'm sure we can figure out something. Maybe they'll even let us just design it, which would be awesome, super awesome. If we could just take full control of that as
I like the idea of doing it as the Monerotopia batch that we released during the event. And it's just okay,
we could
got
do that
this
too.
Working throughout the year, but here's the Monero batch.
That's very smart. Yeah. So just be whether they mind making issuing more notes.
Yeah.
It's them. They're the ones issuing these notes.
Yeah.
And then they're redeemable from Huerta Roma or we're saying via the private seed. That's another way of doing it too, to really simplifying it. Because we want to do this in the cheapest way possible as well. Right. We want to make it super cheap to produce these notes so that we don't waste, funds on their production and they'll be worth less. So even if it's just a QR code that takes them to a website, right? Where they can learn about the note. They could see a link to its view key to see the amount of Monero that's on it. So they know that the Monero is there and that it still hasn't been retrieved. And then maybe they redeem the note by taking it to Huerta Roma and turning it in for Monero. That's another idea as well. And that could be a way to really get it off the ground fast. Now we're not dealing with the technical issues of putting the seed on there and then putting the tamper-proof stickers, which will have a cost. It might be a real way to get it off the ground quickly. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I'm just kind of curious though. It's so how would you load up, say, 1,020 peso bills, each with 20 pesos worth of XMR?
What are you saying? How would you
load up?
The bills would have to be denominated.
You print out a batch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I assume each individual note will have to have each individual amount associated with that.
Each one will have a serial number, and then they'll have a private seed associated with that serial number That they would be tracking on a database, and then they would load the money that way.
They would have to be denominated directly in Monero, though, to get that done.
Yes. Well, that would be the thing. We would denominate them in Monero. So instead of it saying 20 pesos worth of seeds, it would say 0.001 pesos worth of Monero worth of seeds. And then when they scan this QR code, they're also seeing what that value is compared to the peso, right? So it would be a way to look up, like, right? It would take them to a URL associated with that note showing, like, you know, whatever, the different information about date issued, amount of Monero on it, what that value is in pesos at that moment, how to redeem it. Right? That's simple then. Then all we're doing is printing unique QR codes on each note.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting challenge in terms of like how to design the paper to function as efficiently. And
I mean, that's pretty efficient at that point.
Yeah.
You're not even dealing with tamper-proof stickers. Now, the only thing is, right, producing counterfeits, right? But that's, you know, they already had that problem, so we're not. But you know, if we put the private seed on there with the tamper-proof thing, that really helps solve that problem. That pretty much eliminates that problem, right? Because it becomes difficult to now counterfeit these things.
I don't know. I don't know if you can delaminate, but my thought would be if you could take a private seed or whatever, and then the public key, and like laminate them together so that you couldn't retrieve one without the other, without like, delaminating the pieces of paper apart. I don't know.
Wait, you're saying with the private seed on there?
Yeah, you know how like when you put a paper, like when you put a sheet of paper through a lamination machine, how it gets that glaze on it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you could like delaminate, because if you could, then you could put the private, like the public seed, the public view key facing outwards, and then like have it laminated where the private seed was in there, but you couldn't get to it without like delaminating the two sheets of paper apart or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's a good idea.
Penelope just fell off her little horsey over here.
But I don't know if you can delaminate paper once it's been laminated together.
Well, I mean, is that easier than using tamper-proof stickers? I don't know what the cost is of the, you know, maybe there's like cheap tamper-proof stickers that you put on there. I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or like scratch off things. That would probably be more complicated.
I've thought a lot about the techniques that you can use for printing things and the different sort of like anti-counterfeiting details that you can add into a design that just makes it more and more complex. And like, so there are other like
maybe we have Ulysses hand draw every single note.
Okay. I mean, hey, if you also
then that would be right. It would have to be an original ink. It would be. Dude.
We'll start a Kuno. I'm like, hey, if you guys set me up someplace where I could just sit and work 24/7.
Well, honestly, giving you like some special pen with ink where you just like uniquely draw something on each one is actually
loads of fun.
Would be pretty effective, right? At that point, because you'd be identifying that versus a photocopy.
Oh.
Quadrio Saletta on YouTube says that Quadrio Saletta on YouTube has a comment. He says that you could still forge them. You would just make many with a private key that you know, and then many with a public view key, the same public view key that has one XMR in it, and you just make multiple notes of that. So that kind of like, there's kind of a question here, like what would be secure enough for a place like Huerta, and what would be secure enough for like society-wide paper Monero?
Yeah.
I think those are two different questions.
Yeah, that's why I think the idea is great, because Huerta Roma's already making monopoly money over there, right? So we're just helping them improve what they're doing. Yeah, is this going to be equivalent to a gold back in terms of security and counterfeit protection? No, but maybe it could evolve into that, right? This could just be edition 1. But why this idea might make sense is because they're already willing to use their own money that they're making.
That's really important because they have an active community already that's focused on using stuff like that. So.
And they're already taking the risk of counterfeit and all this stuff, but they're overlooking it. But I don't know. But even that being said, I mean, we might as well try for the best, right? Weighing that against what's the most efficient. Like, could you? What is he saying the attack would be? You can still forge. So in this scenario where we just put a QR code.
Yeah, like you might have one QR code that has, say, 0.1 Monero in it. And then you put that same view key on all of the notes that you already have the private key to. So like you've represented that you maybe have maybe you print 100 of these, right? So you've represented that you have 10 Monero, but it's all the same private view key. You could probably solve that with like a public website, a database.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Because it's all going to be public. You could look up all the notes. So you would see that they all have the same view key. I mean, that would be
It's a solvable problem, but it's still hard to imagine how do you get around the trust issue. Like if you're trying to do it this in, like in a societal wide way, how do you get around the trust issue? If somebody has to produce the QR code, somebody has to deposit the money. So you have to create some kind of amnesic system, and then you have to get it audited, or maybe you need to have like cryptographic TPM security guarantees so that like you can externally audit the code that's running on that machine. But then that gives them like access into your production facility potentially. Like there's a lot of problems with that.
I guess you got to wonder how Casacious did it, because I don't know.
Well, yeah, let me bring this up actually. So like I said, I was doing some research. So these guys seem to have gotten the closest.
I mean, we're definitely not the first ones to have this idea for cryptocurrency.
Yeah, for sure. So this company, like I said, they were quite successful. I mean,
Crypto
in terms
Notes,
of how far they got.
It's a good name.
Where does it talk about
the fan of
the tech?
That's a good start.
What's that?
Oh, it looks like they got some Mises on their notes.
Yeah. I'm trying to look to see like how they did it. The tech. I don't know. We could look that up.
Quadrisalot also says that any like random person out there could also just take a legitimate note that exists on the database and then just duplicate that. So how would you know, like, if someone had done that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not an easy question, and there might not. It's possible there's not a real solution in the real world. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm not sure how noteworthy did it. Secure key generation on device. I don't know. I think I might be getting this wrong. They said there was a cryptographic microcontroller embedded within each note. Wow. So they were like, so it was almost like a open dime, but like they were using, instead of using USBs, they were using some other tech. I mean, yeah, we're not trying to do that because I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's cheaper than we think, but.
Well, and that would make it electronics, which would make it more expensive and susceptible to like EMP and stuff like that. Because that wouldn't really work for being a bearer asset if, EMP were to happen.
But like with the Casacious coins, yeah, they were just printing private keys on there and covering them up with tamper-proof stickers. Right? I don't see how they were doing that in some secure way, super secure way. And those never really took off, I guess, for that reason, right? And for the expense of making them, and just for regulatory issues, right?
I was going to say, I thought the biggest hurdle to Casacious was the government said, "Oh hell no."
Yeah. I think so. But yeah, is there some middle ground? Like maybe eventually it becomes the gold back of Monero, but it starts off as just being seed money like they're doing there, like monopoly money with the freaking QR code printed on it.
I was reading a book from 2012, and it was talking about private money like this. And it was talking about, is it legal? And at least in the United States, there's laws on the books that say you cannot cast any piece of metal to look like a currency, and that was probably what the problem with Cassatius coins was.
Yeah, they want to be in charge of the coinage, right? It's in the Constitution.
If only that's what they were doing, coinage.
But goldbacks, right? Goldbacks, they're printing goldbacks in different states, you know? They're fully sanctioned, fully allowed. I don't really know, what's going on with the goldbacks, like what the legal framework. I interviewed the goldback guy a while ago, but yeah, I mean, I guess in the states that they issue it, they're basically allowed to do so. But yeah, we're not trying to do that. We're not trying to do it here in the U.S. We're not the ones issuing it. We're at the Roma. We're just helping them, guide them, consulting them as to whether or not they want to consider adding a Monero element to their money.
Yeah, if whatever Mexico's laws is, as long as they follow them or whatever and do what they're supposed to do. I mean, we can't make metal coinage here in the United States and make it look like coinage because of those laws, but maybe they can do it in Mexico. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even think they're gonna do it. They already have done it. They already did Tumen coin. So we're just helping improve what they're already doing. So yeah, I mean, next steps are finding people that really want to project manage this. Obviously, Ulysses wants to help in a big way. But yeah, maybe we find somebody else that wants to.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely want to
take the lead on it.
I would want to try and actually do small test runs to just see how that would function, and like if anybody wants to connect and like, you know, try and figure out like the, I guess the optimal way of doing it, or just any sort of way of doing it that has.
Yeah, I don't want to complicate it. I don't want to make it like, you know, we're trying to build the next open dime here. Yeah. We're just consulting them on how to most easily add Monero to their note. Oh. Obviously, balancing that against making it somewhat resistant to being counterfeited and whatnot.
Oh. I mean, we could buy like a fancy pants, you know, money printer. It costs upwards of like $500K.
500K?
Yeah. But I mean, that's for stuff with like holographic ink and all kinds of things.
Yeah. But you know, now we're getting involved, right? You know, like I don't want to go that direction.
I don't think you could just
Puerto Roma create it using their resources.
It also
I think you probably have to like probably fill out a lot of paperwork to get one of those printers. So.
It also wouldn't cost 500K. It would cost 1,520.45 Monero.
Somebody want to sell one on XMR Bazaar? I'm sure we can put the word out. Something will pop up on XMR Bazaar. You could sign the note online using a key, and then if another person signs it online as well to verify it, both parties would know that one of them needs to create a transaction from it. I don't know. Does that make sense, guys?
It's adding another layer of like digital complexity, though. And it's like if you're at the marketplace in Huerta and you're trying to buy, 50 pesos worth of avocados, like I don't know if they're going to be, I have to scan the thing to make sure the thing is.
Yeah, Quadrio shows. I mean, you could also take a legit note and then duplicate. Counterfeit it, just simply printing them.
It seems like this is what silver was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, goldbacks are pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, with the price increases, maybe they're not quite as divisible, right? Like one goldback is now at least like $5, 10 with senior.
I gave away a lot of goldbacks on this trip.
I said I was going to buy a bunch, but no one ever. I said, hey, I'm going to bring a bunch of cash and I'll buy a shitload of goldbacks, but no one ever approached me, being like, "Yo,
oh really?"
With a trench coat, and opened up and said, "You want some goldbacks?"
Pretty sure Alaska had some. I had some. I like keeping them. I mean, the goldbacks are awesome, but I love giving them away because it's an eye opener for people. It's a great gateway to understanding crypto as well, too. Like for people that haven't really thought about this stuff at all.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, that don't realize that fiat's a scam, and then you show them the gold back. It's so flashy. How do we make a Monero seed dollar look as sexy as a gold back? That's gonna be up to Ulysses.
Oh, we fundraise enough to actually order our own batch of Monero gold backs. I think there's going to be at least a couple million at the.
Oh, I was going to say that what we do is we get.
I mean, yeah, I looked into that company. You can get your own custom things done. It's not cheap, and the volume is like important. So you need to do loads and loads of it. So.
Just get Huerta to use gold backs.
That would be the easiest thing.
That would be. That's funny. It's funny when you start to think of these things. But right, in theory, I mean, Monero should be easier to add than the tech that was involved in adding gold to a gold back, right? We're just adding a private seed, and you just have to figure out how to generate it. Which this company Noteworthy figured it out. I know obviously there's some tech involved, but maybe it's get pretty cheap. I mean, the tech that's involved in a gold back is pretty complex. Right?
Oh, yeah. You got all kinds of big brain PhDs on like, how do we impregnate this plastic with proper amount of gold, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to help them pursue it and get a move on it while we have momentum. Catch them while they're still hot.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a fun idea. I really like that idea. So I'm eager to see what we can come up with by the next one.
Alaska Anon tip 0.001 XMR slave blocker is right. You could use a view key to see that there is money in there, but you could use a two-party sign system. And yes, I bought a lot of gold. I brought a lot of gold backs. Awesome. Yeah, we could help them figure something out for sure. I do think the QR code would be the easiest, quick implementation. With Ulysses making each note slightly unique, hard to counterfeit. That would go pretty far right there.
I'd have a blast doing it. Like, it would be lots of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the big exciting idea, guys. So because of that, we will likely try to do Monerotopia at Huerta Roma at least one more time. The other thought is Puerto Rico. That's also high on my list. I've already been doing some research in that area as well. I'm going to be doing some further research, on the ground research, in a couple of weeks, and talk to people where I think it would be the ideal place to do it. Once again, if I did it there, it'd be, the idea would be similar to Monerotopia. It'd be like pseudo public, right, with the marketplace built into it so that locals can come participate in it.
I am going to make a call, and that's that if you are in Mexico or you're going to Mexico or whatever, stop by Huerta Roma just whatever random time during the year, because having it for the conference is great, but you need to make sure that it's actually being able to be used like in December when the conference was in February or whatever, like 6 or 8 months afterwards. You need to be able to walk up to a vendor and be like, hey, I want to pay in Monero. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. We want to leave an everlasting impact. With this Monero seed money at Huerta Roma, I think we would. Obviously, right? Like that would, for as long as they're working on that project, and I don't see them giving up on it anytime soon, whether or not Monero's involved. That community is there to stay for foreseeable future, and they want to start using their own money. And I just see them they're going to get it off the ground because they have such a tight-knit community there. They're going to start using it among each other. So it'd be a good wave to ride. We could run the viewers on stage and get people up now. And then we just need, Can anybody here run the segments once I step back? Oh boy.
Yeah, I can try.
Okay, you think you might be able to pull it off?
I think I might be able to pull it off.
All right, we could do a practice run now. You could run the viewers on stage. So my thinking is we bring people up now, continue the conversation, and then shortwave. I'll let you take the reins when you're ready to bring Bawdy up, bring him up to do price report. I have to run. I have to go do something for Franya, my older daughter, and then I'll be listening in the entire time, and then we'll have Tony. You could bring him up to do news, and then if we want, we could go back to viewers on stage at that point if there's still energy in the room. What do you say?
Yeah, that works. Which one is the viewers on stage though? See, this is the problem. Is that like
I know it's hard for me, dude. I don't have I can see, and it's still an issue for me. There's so many of them.
And I don't know which one. Like there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's like different ones, and I'm like, I don't know which one is like. I have trouble figuring out which one is which. That's my problem.
No, I got you. Maybe we could just. So it's number 5. That's viewers on stage. You'll see it's the one with the dice. I don't know if you could. So I don't know how it's being displayed to you.
Yeah, I think it's this one. Let's see what happens. Click.
All right, but let me.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right. Which, by the way, we never ran the guest segment for Ulysses. Hold on. Let me click that one. Or shortwave, you could do it since you're practicing here. So that's number 3.
Let's see. Let's see. Is this one?
That's
labeled, the wrong one.
It's labeled 3. It says 3 new CW guest.
Yeah, and see 3. The third one was that one, and it's like
no. That's the third.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, you got it. A little trial and error. We'll get there.
And see, like, for example, that viewers on stage segment is like the 8th one down, and it's labeled 5 or something like that. It's like
Yeah. All right, we can fix that. But today you'll figure it out. You make mistakes, whatever. People watch the wrong end. What does it display like on what is your user interface like?
So it's a grid. It's a grid of clips or whatever. This is backstage talk, guys. But it's like a grid of clips, and there's like 3. So there's like 1, 2, 3, and then the next row is 1, 2, 3, and then the next row is 1, 2, 3, like that. But the problem is that I don't know where things are on this list, and reading them and using magnification is difficult, especially with a touchpad.
Okay. So we'll have to delete the extras and just put them in order of what they're normally played at.
That would be fantastic.
That would be logical. It's just, we got a lot of things that we should do around here that we just never get around to. That's the problem. But we're getting better, guys. We're getting better. All right. So yeah, Ulysses is our special guest today, but we also ran viewers on stage, so we can start bringing people up. Let's bring Alaska up. How about that? Can you do that, shortwave?
That's going to be a little bit harder because I'm not sure who is who. Let's see. R something. Oh, there's Alaska.
Yeah, there you
Let's
go.
bring Alaska up.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, anybody else that wants to bring Remsey up? He was there.
Right. I like Alaska's bottom tag there, correlated with gold. It's funny.
All right, you guys should be on stage, so if you're not
correlated with gold,
that would be a problem because you can't yell at me. So deal with it.
I'm correlated with Monero. Remsey, what's up, brother?
Yo, great. Thank you for hosting Monerotopia.
You had a good time?
It was a good time. Yeah. I said in the chat, but like, yeah, I feel like it's a good location. Like, unless like the attendance is like 2 times more and it's like too crowded. Like, I don't see a reason why you would change it.
Yeah. I think we'll get a lot more locals next time too, because now the media really was more involved this time. And like the locals that we had came, and then we're also building relationships with the guy who's helping to run La BitConf there. He was one of the guys that gave a talk. He was the guy that was one of the founders of Bitso. He runs some conference that he said like 40,000 people show up to.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, I've been to crypto conferences like Token 2049 and stuff, but yeah, I mean, you start to lose some of the substance there, the signal.
Yeah.
Any conference has a static to signal ratio, I think, and Monero is highly signal related. I was thinking to myself, like, if you think about it, in the Monero community, there's really not like the Monero community is so decentralized. You can pretty much actually talk to anyone who's actually a leader in the community. Like in like Ethereum or something like that, like Vitalik's like hard to reach, or like if you wanted to talk to like the Winklevoss brothers or something, that would be hard. But like Monero is still like decentralized enough and like open enough. You can actually there's obviously the anons, the obscure people, but you can actually just talk to you go to Monerotopia, you can talk to Doug, you can talk to Monero devs, you can talk to all the speakers. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's what makes it so freaking amazing. So obviously we would love to keep that vibe for as long as we carry on with Monerotopia. It's hard to do because as you get larger, it's hard to scale that aspect of it. But I think I mean, Monero filters out the Moon Boys, right? It filters out the people that just care about price. So that goes a pretty long way. So it's people that actually care about the revolution. And the reality is there aren't that many people that do. And so as that movement grows, Monerotopia, attendance will grow with it, I would say.
Yeah, well, most people are mercenaries, and I was like we were just kind of generally talk about like at Monerotopia, people talk about how you increase adoption, and in my opinion, like people are going to use whatever currency they're paid in, right? So like it's like ideally the best way I think to grow the Monero circular economy is if somehow you can find a job that pays you in Monero. So then you have to. There's other things. It's hard to do, right? Because it's still like. Like kind of the cold start problem and stuff, but that's my take on that.
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but I'd point out with Remsey's comment about like it's easier to get a hold of people in the Monero community, especially at a place like Monerotopia. I actually have an easier time getting a hold of certain other projects as well while I'm at Monerotopia. Like they're almost inaccessible, but then they're at the conference, so you can finally like talk to them and pick their brain, whatever.
Like Bitmain or something, like where it's like
that was amazing. The Bitmain talk, I think, really worked out well. I mean,
he even came to the dinner.
Yeah, he had a great time, man. He had a great time.
Yeah. That Bitmain thing was very good.
Very cool. And like that's something like as I'm doing it, I'm a little apprehensive, like, oh, is the community gonna murder me for this? I'm like, but no, I want to get people involved. Let's let it shake out in the open.
If they make an 800-watt space heater miner, I'm gonna be one of the first ones in line to buy one. That's what I want.
It's pretty cool that we kind of nudged them in the right direction there. Yeah. And I was hoping it would shake out that way.
The Bitmain guy to give me the very first one off of the production line.
Well, maybe by next Monerotopia, we'll have one sitting there.
Yeah, like I need a space heater miner.
Not ideal climate conditions, although at night it would be great to have those in Mexico City. Have that turn on every night. Alaska's saying no. Oh no, because he doesn't mind the 40 degrees.
I'm with Alaska on this one. I want it to be like frigid, as cold as possible in my room at nighttime.
Really? When I first showed up, and I was coming from New York, where it was literally Arctic temperatures, right? It was colder in New York than Alaska for like that week before Monerotopia, and I got down there.
2 weeks. There was 2 weeks this winter that was warmer where I live than you.
And I got down there, it was warm during the day, but those first like couple of nights, it dropped down low. In my hotel room, I was like frigid. I was colder than I am here. Obviously, I have heat here in New York, but it was like really cold. I had to ask the hotel for like an extra blanket by the third night, and I was finally able to sleep. So I don't know, it gets pretty cold because there's no heat in the buildings. So those cold nights when it goes down to like 40. No comment. They're like, no.
We had all the windows open. I had fans blowing the cold air in at night, and then the first thing in the morning, we'd close them and turn off the fans to try to keep the cold as long as possible.
You're a beast.
Dude, my kids were dying, bro. It took them like 2 days to figure out how to even live through that kind of temperature. It was brutal.
But the night does get cold. You guys can't sigh on me here. About the night gets cold. Listen, does it not get cold there at night? Come on, am I delusional here?
No, it's like perfect sweater weather. Like it's like
it is perfect sweater weather.
Yeah, like a hoodie and like perfect.
You could be styling down there. You could wear your summer fashion by day and then your fall fashion by night.
Lots of trendy people in Mexico City.
Yeah, they are actually.
Right. My kids go out and about in like a t-shirt when it's 10 below. Like you put a jacket on them and then they'll like unzip it and then they'll like kind of open
I'm like that too. I'm the guy walking around in shorts in the snow. Like I am that person, but at night when you weren't expecting it, when it's hot during the day, and if you don't have like a blanket to sleep under, it's cold.
I'm reminded of when I went to Starbucks in Minneapolis, and it was like snowing and like 10 below, and I was carrying an iced coffee back to work.
Oh man. So Remsi, tell us more, man. Because I know Alaska obviously would love to hear what you have to say, but yeah, man. This was your first one.
This is my second. Yeah, I went to the first one in Miami, but this is my first.
This is the first one in Mexico City. Yeah.
Puerto Roma. Yeah.
So did it live up to expectations? I mean, was it
Yeah, I mean, a lot of vendors. I bought a lot of variety of items at the shops with Monero.
Awesome.
Yeah, it definitely lived up to expectations. The talks were great. Yeah, the speakers were great. Someone got arrested, so that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, now we have
as per tradition, after all.
Right, because there was a MoneroCon, someone like got in trouble with the cops, so it's like someone's got to take the fall, right?
So now we have more aura. Does that like raise our aura?
Yeah,
amount?
it's your dark market cred score goes up.
Boy.
That's why Monero is doing so good against Bitcoin right now, is because our dark market credit score has gone up from or I guess if you count MoneroCon, we have 5 for 5. Every conference has had at least one arrest. So we got it going on now.
I've said it before, assume everybody's a Fed. When you're dealing them here, when you're dealing with them in the real world.
We all know who the 2 Feds were this year. Come on now. We all know who they were.
Yeah, I don't even know if you're referring to one of the same. I think I told you my story, right? I'm not gonna. Yeah, there's no reason to go into it.
I don't think anyone that talked to me about it, it was the same 2 people. Some of them only got one or the other, but I didn't hear anybody except the same 2 people. And I was like the after hours compound, right? So I got to talk to everybody, and they all thought it was the same 2 people.
And the aura and clout around Monero grow, just like the anti-moon voice says.
For me, it's become the tradition too. Like we have to play the game and spot the glowy.
Well, my favorite Monerotopia story that relates to that was from the Miami Monerotopia, when people kept coming up to me. They're like, Doug, there's a federal agent here. This woman, she's taking photos of everyone. I'm like, really? Yeah. She's like getting right in their face, like taking multiple pictures. I'm like, who is it? Who is it? I asked multiple people come, and finally somebody's like, that woman right there. I'm like, That's my mom, guys. My mother was at the first. She was at this one as well, which is awesome. She hasn't been to the others in between, but she was at the one in Miami, and she just viewed it as, these are Doug's friends, and I'm documenting his amazing event here, not realizing.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Everybody thought my mom was at the Fed. It was pretty funny.
That sounds like a great album.
She's not. She's an art historian. She never worked for the federal government in any capacity.
She reminds me of all of the people who have like tried to get graphene phones from me, and like a bunch of them would get it, and like we go through all of this rigmarole, and then they're like, "Okay, how do I put Facebook on it?" And I'm like, "How about I just buy it back?"
And I love that I had my family stop in this year. Alaska had his family down there. We had a lot of kids. Andres had his kids down there. Which,
there had to be at least 15 kids that were like there every day at some point. It had to be more vibe than 10.
Too.
I heard Monero-chan made an appearance.
Yes,
that's my wife.
Yes, she did.
Does Bland count as a kid or is he an adult?
Dude, I told everybody that I was married to Monero-chan, and I think that a lot of them thought it was like a joke. And so it's kind of like
no, she was there in the dress. She wore the dress.
Yeah, ULY knew already. ULY knows my wife pretty well, right?
He's married to Monero-chan, straight up. And producing little Monero chads and chadettes.
Yeah, and you know how the memes are always like "F off Chloe" or whatever. It's just like she's like that in real life. There's this hilarious story about the fire marshal that I'll probably tell people but it's in I'll probably butcher the story, but basically she was burning during a burn ban. We dug this giant hole at my compound, and so there was 8-foot walls of dirt all the way around, and she's just burning stuff like crazy. And there was a burn ban, and the fire marshal showed up. It's like, "Oh, I'm here to give you a ticket," and she just gave him an earful. "You mean I can't burn on my own property? Are you yelling at him and stuff? And then apparently walked it back after she shamed him. "Is this what you wanted to do with your government job? Was come over and harass women that are trying to take care of their families?" And then once it was all over, he's like, "Well, here's a safety pamphlet on how to handle it." She just runs over and throws it in the fire. She's totally just like the memes. She acts like it. She's a total boss too.
Your wife is amazing. Hardcore. She's awesome, man. Your whole fam, your whole unit. Fantastic.
No, thank you. If there was anything I wanted to do right, it was that. So I feel
it was beautiful to have them down there hanging out, running around Monerotopia. I mean, that's certainly something we'll continue to grow and keep a theme of Monerotopia, family friendly. And you could go off in the corners and do things that may not be family friendly, but as a whole, keep it super safe and accepting of all ages. Not everybody has to participate in all activities. Just like a real marketplace. Quadrio Chaletta tipped 0.00012115 XMR. Larger than usual tip is a thank you. Thank you, man. Monerotopia is great, even if watching through a laptop. Hope to be able to join one day. Thank you. Thank you, man. That keeps us going.
Don't hope. Make it happen, man.
One thing that was really funny to me about, how it became like a meme, the pilgrimage to Alaska thing. It was really funny how many people my kids recognized from having come visited. They already have a small army of friends that they know when they got there.
That's awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
Hey, we have a scheduling thing with Tony's asking if he can come up at 1:30 p.m.
Yes. So, Bawdy, what do you want? Do you mind doing price after that?
Yeah, I'm flexible, man. Whatever,
okay.
Whatever is necessary. It's currently.
Oh, actually, no. Maybe you want to do price now. So maybe you want to do price now. I got to step back, guys. Actually, that's also a great thing, right? We haven't mentioned price once since being on here today, right? We were just talking about Monerotopia and whatever. Price in the like, right? If this was a typical crypto show, that's all that everybody's talking about right now. Not that it's not important. I'm very much looking forward to what Bawdy has to say, but it's indicative of the culture around here, which is freaking awesome. That's a big part of what makes Monerotopia amazing too.
I've only looked at price once since I got back.
Yeah, the only time people were looking at price at Monerotopia is when they were buying Monero for cash off the vendors, right? And it was like, oh, look at that. Yeah.
Actually, this year I think was probably the best in terms of like that natural kind of market exchange happening with the vendors and like people that were interested. And it's just like putting that out there. It's like, hey, by the way, if you show up this evening, there'll probably be people that want to, exchange,
Yeah, we did it twice this year, so it wasn't all everybody gets in line on Sunday night like I want to sell my Monero, and it creates a panic. We did it twice this year, and there was no panic. People were like, "No, I want to keep my Monero." What was interesting is I saw people that were buying Monero that wasn't from like our core crew of Monero, like locals. Like some local came up to me, and first I thought he was trying to sell his Monero, and he was but it was that he was actually looking to buy Monero for pesos. I was like, no way. I ended up taking out a bunch of pesos in preparation because I'm always nervous that like there won't be people there ready to buy out the vendors, and all the vendors are gonna be pissed. And I just ended up with a bunch of extra pesos, which was a fantastic sign. There was demand. There was demand for Monero.
Me before the exchange time. Like,
what's that?
Next year we have to kneecap drunk dial me before the exchange thing happens, because like homie was cleaning up compared to everybody else.
We'll just tell him the wrong day. We're like, hey dude, we're doing it on Saturday.
I think I might have beat him though, because I had two people, right? So both me and the wife were trying to buy and that was probably the best move. We had two separate Monero wallets with two separate cash stashes. So I hope I got him, but we'll see. We'll see who ended up with the most Monero. I'm watching you drunk dial me.
Captain Yami the Samurai said, I live outside the U.S., so in the future I plan to do more active work to promote Monero in my country. So I want to make sure it doesn't fail in a few years when I start promoting. Don't want to look like a scammer. Well, it's not going to fail. It may fall in price versus fiat for periods of time, but it's certainly not going to fail. I could say that.
I would imagine the BTC XMR price will come up in the
and the way to do that is just get people to accept it. Don't sell them on some pyramid scheme. If you buy now, it's going to be worth 100x more in a year.
Exactly. Price should be the last thing you talk about.
Yeah, get them to understand why they should just accept it, the value in just accepting it, that it's digital cash, nobody can see when you're spending it, and that sell them on the utility of why they should even want to use Monero in the first place. And then you could throw in the added benefit, by the way, it's probably going to go up in price versus fiat because fiat is a scam, blah, 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 blah. But don't worry, you could always sell your Monero here, right? And give them the off-ramps, teach them how to use an instant exchange if they want to swap into a quote-unquote stable coin, teach them how to buy gift cards on Cake, teach them how to use XMR Bazaar. Anybody that's being onboarded Monero, you should introduce them to XMR Bazaar, because that's really the goal, right? Is to get people using it, being part of the peer-to-peer economy. So it's the best way to start earning Monero. Go on there, start offering a skill you have, sell your old whatever it is, bicycle that you have in the garage, post it on XMR Bazaar, find people that are paying people to do things on XMR Bazaar. It's a great way to earn.
Quadrio Soletta says that he has there. It looks like we missed one of his XMR chats.
Okay.
So you got the second one, but the first one that he sent was actually a pretty large tip. 0.030287996 XMR. He says, why do we not see broader adoption for Monero outside the West, and why does it behave like a risk-on asset? Personally, I'm using it similar to gold, store value, hedge. I think others here might be as well. Is it just because of the link to Bitcoin and crypto? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure how much crypto is being used outside of the West except for Tether. There's probably some state-backed reasons for that, to push Tether into Russia, into East Asia, into Latin America. I think that, yeah, I mean, all of us are using it as a store of value, hedge, and also as money. It doesn't totally behave like a risk-on asset, I don't think. Like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
It decorrelates sometimes. Obviously, Monero, I would say more. I mean, I don't think that's just anecdotal, right? Like it does seem to go by its own.
What we've been looking at on the price report the past maybe about month is that there's low correlation. Like there is a correlation to the rest of crypto, to gold, and to the S&P 500, but it's a very low correlation. So it does kind of behave like a risk-on asset, but not entirely.
Yeah, and then hopefully that changes over time, right? As the utility grows with Monero, and it's useful no matter what is going on in the world, because people always need censorship-resistant, untraceable digital cash. No matter what the price of gold may be at that time, no matter what war we may be in or on the brink of, once Monero gets large enough, it's going to always have value because there'll always be demand for a tool like that. At least that's my thesis and has been since I gotten in this space.
All right. Speaking of price, you want to go ahead and run the price report?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna step back. Shortwave is gonna take it over. We're gonna go ahead and run the price report, and then we'll have Tony jump up afterwards. Shortwave, good luck. If you make mistakes, don't worry about it. Just keep clicking the buttons so things work out. Guys, I'll be listening in. Ulysses, man, thanks for being a special guest, and hope to jump on again later if we're still going.
Always glad hanging out with everybody. So
yeah, and thanks to everybody. Yeah, if I don't jump on again later, thanks to everybody that participated in Monerotopia. I know I always kind of repeat the same thing, but it's super true. It's the people that participate in the conference, the projects, the sponsors, the attendees, the vendors. That's what makes it amazing. It's not the location at the end of the day. It's the fact that we bring all those people in, all those freedom fighters. So thank you to everybody that participated. All right, take it away, Shortwave.
All right, let's do it.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, privacy-first multi-chain swap aggregator designed for seamless instant swaps. Exchange XMR instantly with the fully non-custodial, KYC-free experience and secure execution across hundreds of blockchains.
All right, now the trick is, can we get the screen share?
Oh, yeah, that's going to be fun. Let's see. What can we do? Where is the screen share thing in this studio thing anyway?
If you can see where my icon is at the bottom, I think the screen share is one of the buttons that's hovering over the.
Okay, I see the mute thing. Like I see Bawdy, and I see like where I can mute you or whatever. Oh wait, what's this?
It's probably that. Just click it. Well, I guess that's sharing Doug's screen. It looks like.
Oh, okay. Remove. Doug Tooman. What's this one?
That's it.
Yay. Okay, good. We're in business.
Sir. Real quick, how's my volume? Is it good?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Cool. Well, I guess let's just jump right into it. Nothing really happened since Monerotopia. We've had some volatility, but it looks to me like the volatility is collapsing just a little bit. I'm not sure here what the next move is, guys. This could go either way. You could arguably say that the next move is slightly up and then breakout. You could say that the next move is down. Probably the next move is going to have to be down. And the reason is because of crypto, because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's probably not done falling. The patterns don't look so great. Maybe I'm just hallucinating patterns like some LLM, but to me, it's not looking rosy out there for the Bitcoin picture. And typically that means that Monero is going to follow suit to some degree. However, in the last bear market, Monero did significantly outperform Bitcoin. So there's a very reasonable chance that this chart, the Monero versus Bitcoin chart, could actually continue making gains. yeah, there was the big spike here that happened with the hack. I guess that's what it was. Who the fuck knows, right? I don't trust anything that I hear. I don't trust any of the popular stuff on Twitter these days. All of the good content that I see on Twitter, all of like they all get shadow banned for the most part. Maybe not all, but a lot of them. So when there's some guy and it just so happens this guy is the same guy that always says, "Oh, well, Monero is pumped because of some hack." It's like, yeah, okay, that kind of thing can be faked. We've talked about that. But anyways, the Bitcoin versus Monero price does seem to be holding its own, doing quite well. Forgetting this spike that happened here. Overall, Monero has made a pretty big comeback. Let's look at the weekly so that you guys can see it better. Monero has made a pretty good comeback. Here was the last bull market low for the ratio, which is bear market. So bull market crypto typically equals bear market ratio for XMR BTC. But nevertheless, we're still back above this like horizontal area, which is probably the most significant horizontal area for the whole chart, right? These two little peaks, those two little bottoms, and now we're cleanly above that. So, whether this chart is eventually ever going to make it up here, I think eventually one day it is. I can't tell you that day is going to be soon. But it's also not too surprising that, these standard deviation levels here are where some of those wicks happened. Normally you would try and call this wick. So we're on the weekly. Normally you would try and call that like a hammer or a shooting star. And you would say, yeah, that's a negative price chart pattern. Like I told you guys before, I don't truly believe patterns with Monero's chart quite as much. The very big headliner long-term patterns, yes, like this horizontal area of significance we talked about, yes, that's a big deal. That's kind of a pattern. That's an orientation point that is important for me. But a shooting star like this doesn't have to mean that. That's the kind of shit that that some exchange or some nefarious entity can try and paint on the chart to generate negative sentiment. And you can be absolutely sure that this happens across the board in all markets. Markets are more manipulated and fraudulent than they have ever been, probably. I don't know, maybe like 1929, something like that. Anyways, let's go to the 4 hour on this chart. And honestly, there's really not much going on here at the moment. This does look like it's trying to make a little bit of a breakout, but it also slightly looks like a bearish flag. But it doesn't have to be that. So again, chart patterns may or may not be. Well, chart patterns are always dubious, sometimes useful. I guess I would probably try and say, hey, we need to shoot for the 0.005 level. We are at the 0.051 level, but we'd maybe shoot for the 0.056 level, which would be which would be where the blue band is at the top. That would make some sense. Maybe shoot for that, make some pullback. I don't expect that this chart is going to do a whole lot in the near future. So in general, I don't know, maybe if you're a trader, you could try and trade the volatility. If there's a little bit of volatility on this chart, whether towards the up or downside, you could probably counter trade those swings because it's hard for me to believe that that there's going to be great volatility in the Monero price coming up here, and especially relative to Bitcoin. We don't see anything on the divergences, so yeah, probably nothing to talk about there. Maybe Monero versus gold. Yeah, we were on the high side for a while, and now we're back on the low side, which I'm totally fine with. I got gold, I got Monero, I'm diversified or whatever. So whichever one wants to pump, I'm happy with that. I guess right now this chart has a feel. I got the feels that this chart probably needs to come down here to this lower level, which if we measure would put us about 20% lower, all other factors being equal. I probably would expect gold to go 20% higher, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's take a look at the privacy shit coins. Zcash not falling fast enough for my liking, but probably not falling fast enough for anybody's liking. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, this chart's just a bunch of nonsense. Where are they at? I guess maybe we could try to call this significant, like horizontal area of significance. So we could say like here, right? I don't know. Looks kind of like a dick. Sorry, I didn't mean to draw a dick on the screen. All right. So Zcash is going to continue crashing. If Bitcoin falls further, it probably will. Zcash is definitely going to fall further if Bitcoin falls further. Tari, we thought, hey, maybe there's a bottom. I thought I was going to be cool. Maybe I could buy the bottom, but I didn't. I just bought further losses. I don't care. It doesn't matter if that goes to zero. Then I'll just say, oh, that's fine. I'm retarded and I planned for that. So I don't know, man. What do we got to do? What needs to happen to get this together to stop this the horrible sell-off? This chart is just death from the beginning. Like maybe not from the beginning. There was like some little bit of pump here. Actually, there was a pretty nice pump, 5-6x. But ever since then, it's been nothing but down. So I don't know. It's kind of hard. We're in a bear market now, so it's kind of hard to think that Tari is going to be able to get that together. Cubic is also continuing to fall, probably forever. They say they're gonna selfish mine attack Dogecoin, but I'll believe it when I see it. Seems like they were probably more just an attack on Monero specifically, and I think we all know the reasons why. There are people who might want to do that. Xano, holy shit, that fell out bad. Minus 50% all at once. That's the 8-hour chart. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, guys, I don't have good news for you about Xano here. Like, feels like it had its run. I can't see where the liquidity, where the excitement, the momentum, where is that going to come from? I don't see it at all. Like, I don't see it anywhere. Sorry, Xano guys, but that's the way the chart looks. That's the way the social fabric, the social perspective looks there. You guys are going to have to figure out how to contend with more downside and eventually maybe find some bottom in this, like in the lower standard deviation bands, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, let's see here. What else we got? I think we have Pirate Chain. Yeah, Pirate Chain managing to hang on to some of its gains. So it's not totally down and out, but knowing the way this chart has played out in the past, I wouldn't hold my breath, guys. I wouldn't hold my breath to not make a round trip, right? Pirate Chain was sort of they were coattail riding the Zcash and privacy season. They were coattail riding on that one. So don't expect too much on R. I guess I'm fairly pessimistic this price report. I apologize. I can't tell you that Monero is going to be doing great things, but I think there's a very reasonable possibility that Monero finds a bottom faster and with less crazy volatile action. I think that this $280 level, that's probably your buy point, guys. Like someone on the YouTube comments was asking, is it too late? Have I missed the boat? No, sir, you have not missed the boat. If you haven't bought any, then you need to buy some like today, like right now. Go like stop listening to me and go buy Monero if you haven't bought any. But if you're like waiting for that perfect moment, that absolute golden shine lustered moment, 280 is probably your spot. Maybe front run that at like 282, 283. All right, let's go take a look and see what Bitcoin is doing. Nothing good.
Bawdy. Hey, Bawdy, programming note for you. Tony can't do the 1:30 news anymore, so he's just gonna pop in and say hello. But then you can get back to the price report. So when he's here, just letting you know.
Okay. I won't know that he's here because I'm on my chart, so I don't have the.
I'll let you guys know, and then just have Tony pop in and say hello. I don't think he can't really do the news segment.
Okay. Whenever he shows up, like just interrupt me, and we'll go straight to Tony. Okay.
Will do.
All right, man. Thanks. All right, so here we are in crypto. Let's see. Bcash was doing pretty good, and then it just kind of fell out there. So it seemed like I was kind of watching Bcash. I was kind of thinking, hey, do I want to get myself some Bcash? I know, confessions online from Bawdy. If that's the worst confession I have, it's not. All right, anyways, Bcash, yeah, not doing so hot right here. This thing is definitely has more to fall, at least probably like 17%. Man, it looks like it really wanted to break out, and it still can. This is a very long-term chart pattern, and it's a nice pattern. It looks like Bcash is trying to break out, but it never did. Like normally when you hit that and then you keep writing that, normally that's a sign that you're ready to try and make a new trend. Now it's not over, right? Like the fat lady hasn't sung yet. Could easily, and it would even be a very reasonable thing to do in charting perspective, like wave magic pattern perspective, to come back, do a bear market like with the rest of crypto bear market, find the bottom somewhere here at like 380, just below 400. At these lower standard deviation bands, and then do this again. And at that point, it'll be a foregone conclusion that the thing is just going to pump. But at that point, it's like, okay, yeah, it's going to pump, but what else is going to pump? And is it going to pump the most? I don't know, but it'll be worth a buy here at some point. Probably down like again 350 to 400. If you really wanted to, you could probably buy it down there. Always, we got to play it by ear. Anyways, I don't want to be shilling Bcash or anything, so let's go back to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin currently, to me, looks very similar to a pattern that it did like we talked about, like the breakdown that happened here was almost identical to the breakdown that happened here. It was a little bit more short time frame of a pattern, but the reason that we correlated that was because of the summer low of 2021, followed by a marginally higher high, followed by a bear flag, followed by death. And it's the same thing. We had this kind of like, we had this sort of like lower lows, you know, this kind of like descending wedge slightly. You can't see it on the weekly, but it's, you know, it's a descending pattern, followed by a marginally higher high, followed by bear flag, followed by currently death is what appears to be happening. Now, 70,000, I don't know. 70,000, is that really death? In 2021, that was elation. But 4 years later, when you understand the time value of money, it feels a little bit closer to death, especially if you bought over 100K. So right now, guys, it does look to me like this pattern is very similar to what we saw in the summer of 2021, or sorry, the summer of 2022. And this thing is going to break down to the green line. Now, again, I haven't really truly dove, and I'm probably not, if I'm confessing, I'm probably not going to do like the hardcore analysis on the regression. I probably won't redo that. There is a level of arbitrariness there. I can resolve it. But I'm not even convinced that resolution is going to give us what we need anyways. All we need to know at this point is that this green line at 50,000 represents probably the lowest of the possible lower boundaries, and that 55,000 is probably closer to the actual like lower boundary regression. I'm guessing, right? That's a bit of a guess. But the point is that this is the neighborhood, right? Like we're going to expect this thing. Bitcoin should be expected now to break down to 50,000. That's a big round number. It's here with confluent with the neighborhood of the regression analysis, and you can see these very long-term lower standard deviation bands. I know it's a messy chart. Here, let me turn off the lower ones, the red lines. All right, so you'll see that there is a moving average confluence. That's what this white line is here. You can see that there is blue lines. That is the lowest upper standard deviation cluster that the chart has to offer. This is your buy point at this point now. Like, don't think that you're getting into Bitcoin right now and that you're gonna, you're gonna get that bounce. Look for a bottom sometime later this year. It's too early for us to think that this bear market is bottomed by now. So, and in previous bear markets, it's a weird way to say it. This cluster, the lowest cluster of upper standard deviations, the blue lines, that cluster has been significant for pretty much the whole history of Bitcoin in terms of like when we talk about bear markets. The last bear market was the first time that it ever actually dipped below that. Previously, it would always just like touch that line and then take off towards the upside. It wasn't that long that it was below it last bear market. So even if we do go below it, like maybe 40,000, you're still doing pretty good if you're buying at 50,000. Like you're still going to be doing all right there. It's a close enough target, and it should be a long-term investment for you. So I mean, if you're like a DJ trader and you're trying to catch the bottom and go 10x, hey, maybe that's. I can't promise you anything there. You're probably going to lose your money. That's what I can promise you. Actually, is you're going to lose your money. I don't know. Maybe 1 out of 10 of you will get lucky. All right. Anyway, so yeah, the bottom is not in for Bitcoin. Don't expect it to be. Let's see, Bitcoin dominance. This chart is also looking like it wants to break down a little bit. Like it had every opportunity here in the Bitcoin bear market, which has been since October. It has had every opportunity to make its comeback, and it tried. And these wicks right here, those failing wicks, those don't inspire confidence that there's actually the momentum here to keep pushing the Bitcoin dominance higher. I don't know. Maybe we'll finally get that Ethereum pivot, the fabled Ethereum pivot that I've been talking about since, I don't know.
All right, Bawdy, we do have a Tony. So
yes.
Give me a minute. I'm going to bring him up. Hello there, Tony.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Tony,
can you hear me?
Yep,
yes,
we
sir.
can hear you. I'm going to go ahead and run your news segment, but since you can't stay, I'm probably going to make an executive decision to axe the news this week, because I'm not going to be able to read them unless Bawdy wants to do the news after the price report. Yeah,
what I can do is I can just keep me on screencast, and I can share I can put those up.
Okay, well then I'll in that case I'll run the news segment real quickly here for Tony.
Are you sure? Because we can.
The Monerotopia weekly news segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Oh wait, hold on.
Sorry about
So
that.
do you want to?
Had to get the ad in.
No, you're good. So do you want to do? Because I just wanted to, because I don't have time to do the whole news, unfortunately. I've just because of like work.
You could do like part of the news if you wanted.
I think I'm gonna use this time to just talk about the conference, like really quick.
Sure.
And then, yeah. So, sorry to interrupt, Bawdy.
No, not at all, man. I got plenty of time here.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that this is like a post Monerotopia conference episode, and I can't express into words how amazing Monerotopia is. And I mean, yes, we sound biased, but it really is amazing because it doesn't matter how you can be extremely socially awkward, whatever, and you're gonna make a ton of friends still, and you're gonna have a ton of fun. I was only there for the last 2 days and not the first 2 days, unfortunately. Next year, I'm definitely gonna make it for the whole 4 days. But a lot of talks, just so much going on. The location is amazing. Some people were kind of scaring me off about like Mexico, and it can be dangerous, of course, just like any other place. But where Monerotopia is, it's so safe. You just see grandmas and grandpas walking around and everything. So it's safe location, really beautiful location. I'm not sure where we're gonna do it next year, but yeah, this location is amazing. And you have all the talks, a lot of talks every single day. And what's really special, like it's incredible how you can connect with so many people on so many subjects and on such a deep level, because we didn't talk just about privacy and technology and everything all day. We talked about I don't know, like philosophical things or nutrition, like a lot of stuff that we bonded on. And also it was so amazing to finally meet Bawdy after such a long time. We met for the first time.
Likewise, brother.
And yeah, it was amazing. We had such a good time together, and we met talks. So we were all three of us in the same time. Alaska Anon. It was a pleasure meeting Alaska, and his wife and his kids, and the list just goes on and on and on. Like so many people that I've met previously, but haven't seen them in a long time, or that I've never met. Like I don't think I've met Monero Mateo before. Xeno I've never met. A lot of people. So it was amazing. Just the whole day, you have all these talks, and then at the end of the day, everybody's just relaxing with some beer that they bought with Monero and just talking about anything, walking around, eating pastries, eating good food from the conference. I've seen the biggest quesadillas ever at the conference. Those are huge. And yeah, good food, good vibes. It was really, really amazing. And again, like you just connect on such a deep level with everybody. It's truly awesome. And beyond, like just beyond the conference and everything that you do there with everybody, you're gonna make friends. And then after, you're gonna go to some bars, check out, Mexico City. It's a really nice, beautiful city. Lots of stuff to do. Like I went with Kapu, one of the speakers. We went to the sauna and gold plunge place. That was freaking awesome. So there's awesome gyms, bouldering gyms if you're into that. Uh, just a ton of stuff to do. So yeah, it's an awesome location. If we're gonna have it next year there, that's awesome. But I know we were talking about Argentina as well, but that's such an awesome location. And post Monerotopia was me, Dog, and Kapu, and we were talking about things to do for the next one. And it's just getting better and better and better. So yeah, I just wanted to say that really quick. And it was I'm going to tell this story because it's funny. When me and Bawdy met for the first 30 minutes, so first of all, Bawdy comes like 5 p.m. And I guess it's fine to say this on YouTube, but I did take some mushrooms for the first time. And not much, just a little bit. But of course, it hit me right when I met Bawdy for the first time. So that was it. I was like, hey, man, it's me. And then we kind of walked off for a bit, went for a little walk to get some beer, which made everything better, like the whole mushroom situation. And then for the first 30 minutes, Bawdy didn't know who I was. And the conversation basically went, oh, that's cool. I know Tony. Where are you from, man? Romania. Oh, that's cool, man. I know a guy named Tony from Romania. And then we got the beer. Cheers. We took a sip and like, holy shit, that's you. And
bro, I was so behind the curve. Holy shit.
yeah, it was so freaking awesome. And then we, after I think the last night of Monerotopia, we were just chatting and chatting, and then Bawdy actually had a flight, and he just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna spend more time with you guys." So that was awesome. Such a good time. And yeah, big up for a lot of people. Like, I want to thank everybody that's watching us. I want to thank everybody that's been to the conference supporting us. It's kind of funny. I've had somebody walk up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I love your show, but I don't watch the news section." I'm like, "Why?" And he said, "Because it's very depressing." And it is very depressing. We'll see what we cover for this week. Next week, if not, I'll take some of the stuff and definitely talk about it because it's insane what's been happening as of also today. But yeah, lots of awesome, amazing people that went to the conference. Also locals that haven't just heard about Monero, like a couple weeks ago, went to a conference, or people that knew about Monero for quite some time, and they've been living in Mexico City, and they just came for the first time. And everybody said the same thing, like they've had such an amazing time. Like I talked to 2 Mexican guys, and one of them knew about Monero, one of them, and his friend just got into it like a couple weeks ago, and they've had an amazing time. They had such a good time, and definitely I highly recommend, like obviously you get to talk to the speakers, like they hang out next to you, you can drink beer with them, ask them all the questions, hang out. But I highly recommend you guys also get the VIP next year if you haven't this year, or just come if you haven't at all, because a VIP dinner was so awesome too. We went to a bar, which is much better than sitting down at a restaurant because you get to walk around, talk to people. So just like the dog was giving me beers to hang out to everybody, and had tacos, and me and Bawdy were looking for Tux for like 30 minutes because there were so many people, and we finally found Tux, and I met him for the first time.
Yeah, we all got a picture together. I got it on my phone.
Yeah, we got a picture of the 3 of us, and then a guy that came for the first time at a conference named Tyler trying to onboard a homeless guy on Monero. Near the taco place. Yeah, that was awesome. And yeah, those locals that had such a good time, the Monero conference, and they took us to some great taco place. Had some great tacos. So yeah, guys, definitely come, and if you can afford it, buy the VIP, because yes, you can talk to everybody at the conference. Of course, nobody's like running away, but it's just everybody in the same place together. It's such a memorable, amazing time. I have so many memories from that night and all the nights and every day. So yeah, I guess enough rambling. Thanks, Bawdy, for letting me hop in a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for showing up. I know it's a lot of heart to tell your boss to fuck off and then, come do the podcast.
Yeah. But I don't care. It's worth it. I'm gonna tell the boss he's fired. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching us again. Thank you guys for coming to Monerotopia. If you haven't, please come next year. It's an amazing time. And with this, I'm gonna take it back to Bawdy. Thanks, guys, and have a good weekend, everybody.
You too, Tony.
Thanks,
have a good one.
Hopefully see you next week.
Yes, I hope. Yeah.
All right. With that, you want me to go ahead and play the price report segment again there, Bawdy, so you can continue? Or
No, it's fine. If anything, we'll probably just leave it in. I probably won't even ask Renan to edit. So
okay, I was gonna say the editor is gonna hate me.
I mean, we could just leave it in. Like that was a good little break here from my price ramblings.
Okay, what do you want to do?
No, we'll just keep going right here. I think we were talking about Bitcoin dominance.
Yeah,
I believe that it's not looking so great. It's kind of had this oscillation period. It's had this sort of like we talk about, big typical pattern in charting. You get compressing volatility, and then it decides to make a break. And right now it looks like it's trying to break down. Any further breakdown in this chart is very likely going to spell, like a downtrend, a renewed downtrend, which is interesting, right? Because that's kind of what happened in the last bear market. So that's a dynamic that evolved last bear market that we hadn't seen before. So it would be unsurprising for that same dynamic to happen again. One can hope. Just Bitcoin is so useless. It has no reason to be number one. Like Ethereum should be number one as far as I'm concerned. Like I know people hate ETH, but I can do a lot more stuff with ETH that is related to freedom than I can do with Bitcoin that is related to freedom. You just have more options. You have better privacy, by the way. If you want to go through Tornado Cash, it's legal again. Like they removed that OFAC nonsense last year. So you can completely, even as a U.S. citizen, go through Tornado Cash. I don't know, maybe they'll call you a terrorist anyways, but they already call us terrorists, and we call them terrorists, so I guess everyone's a terrorist. Stupid. All right. Anyways, I guess speaking of ETH, what is ETH versus Bitcoin doing? Yeah, this chart, this drop-off was insane. Like, honestly, like I don't really understand what that was fully related to, but something fundamental happened here. It had to have, because charts don't just do that. Charts don't just fall off a cliff, like, especially when you talk about big market caps. Charts don't just fall off a cliff like that for no reason. So something fundamental happened that caused that. I don't know what it is. I hear like something about a hack. That's always the easiest thing. Find the nearest hack, and then say, oh, well, that was the reason. But I don't know if I believe that's the reason. At the moment, this chart is very weird in general. I'm not sure what to make of it. I couldn't really tell you if this is forming a solid bottom here, the lower standard deviations, and then maybe it'll go back up. Maybe it'll come back to the blue lines here. We're talking about, months to do that kind of action usually. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like ETH has way more utility, but hey, maybe that's the reason why it's number 2 to Bitcoin, right? Maybe that's the reason why the cabal has continued to prop up Bitcoin, which has very shitty privacy and low capacity. And it's got this Lightning network that's just not, it's just not great. Like, so maybe that's the reason why they keep propping up Bitcoin, right? They don't want people using stuff that's actually useful. They don't want people, I don't know, launching. The only thing they seem to actually want ETH for real is Polymarket. That's the only one that I can see. Let's see, in terms of the actual ETH price, this is an interesting pattern, actually. This is the ETH price in terms of US dollars actually looks significantly more stable. So we would have, like, I don't know, you would draw this, those are horribly drawn lines. You would have your upper and lower standard deviation bands. You can see that price is effectively riding in between those bands. And you can see that there is still a little bit of upslope here. So the only problem, of course, with this chart is that if I think Bitcoin's going to go down, then Ethereum's probably also going to go down. But, maybe not as much. If we correlate that to the fact that we talked about Bitcoin dominance, looks like the dominance might want to start moving towards the downside, have some kind of renewed downtrend, maybe towards the 50% level, who knows? Then perhaps whatever pullback happens on ETH could be more muted, more limited. So that's a possibility. I wouldn't hold myself to it, but I like that picture. It's congruent. Maybe ETH makes some a secondary bottom at like the 1500 level, somewhere around there, while Bitcoin makes a bottom at like the 50,000 level. And perhaps that becomes the bear market low. I don't know. I mean, there are strong headwinds against crypto in general. Like, I mean, I know we got the crypto president, but it's just that the whole world has heard about crypto. Everyone has had the chance to get excited and buy and go to the moon and buy their bags. And it's just like, where's the new adoption wave coming from? I don't see it. At this point, what I see is the only real potential I see is continued volatility, but collapsing volatility, slowly compressing volatility over long time frames. So yeah, we could get a big, rebound crypto here, but it seems to me like 2021 was the front run of the value of what crypto could provide, more or less. So it's, we'll get adoption and slowly, I guess, price can rise. But it's right now, I mean, who prints the money, guys? Well, the government and the banks. And where do they send the money? They send it into the stock market, right? They send it into bonds. So for us to think that crypto, for the Bitcoin people to think that their bags are going to the moon, and they're going to shout about paper Bitcoin now. They don't even have a fucking clue what fractional reserve paper means. They have no idea that their price is it's still vastly higher than it should be. Bitcoin, like if Bitcoin was fairly valued, in my mind, it probably has no business being anywhere near 70,000. It's probably like fairly valued at closer to 20 or 10. Who knows, right? But anyways, we won't go off on that. Let's talk about the Bitcoin versus NASDAQ right now, because it's maybe a little bit hard to see. Maybe we'll go to the 2-day. Bitcoin is going to make these orange lines down here, right? This is a pretty bad pattern that's setting up right here, and it's very clear. Bitcoin has got another like 25% relative to the NASDAQ to drop. Like it's currently in no man's land in terms of its ratio to the NASDAQ. And in terms of like, you know, hyper Bitcoinization and new paradigm, sorry, bros, I don't see it. Like we're at 2020 levels. We're at 2021 levels of Bitcoin to NASDAQ value here. And again, typical story, scam, fraud story with Bitcoin, a marginally higher high, just a barely little higher high, just enough to convince you to start throwing all of your paychecks into Bitcoin because you think it's about to go up. And then you're buying their bags. You're buying Jihan's fucking bags. You're buying all of the early investor bags, all of the ASIC miners. You're buying their bags at the top there. So, you know, and that's part of the plan, right? That's part of the scam. You got to get the, you have to get the sociology, right? You get the hype, get everyone excited, make them think it's a new bull market, get them buying, DCAing their paychecks as you slowly unload onto them for months and months until the price can't sustain that anymore. So again, you know, just things not looking rosy here on the Bitcoin front, particularly. Let's talk about Monero hash rate and transactions because I almost always forget to talk about them. So the hash rate still holding pretty steady here, like 5.5 gigas. It's come back, it's come down a little bit. I guess that makes sense, you know, with the price falling back. But reality, guys, like we're sitting here at the same hash rate that we had back in May, all the way through like most of last year, through the second half, through the last 2/3 of last year. We're still sitting at levels that are similar to that, even in a bear market. You know, and that's the advantage of having an asset that has a stable price. And yes, you could argue that, you know, this big run up here, whatever, like that's not stability, right? But forgetting that run up happened, wipe that out of your mind for a second. Just pretend that didn't happen. We would be sitting here saying, actually, that's a nice trend. We still have an uptrend. Like, let's just draw a line, right? Let's just draw a line here. You would be like, yeah, that's still basically an uptrend that's still holding, and it's been going strong since 2024. So yeah, okay, we had a little, you know, we had this spike, but overall, you would, if that spike hadn't happened, you would still look at this chart and feel really good about it. You would say, yeah, we used to sit at $150 for like 2 or 3 years, and now we're sitting at $350 or $330. So yeah, I mean, again, this is another reason why so many of us try to just like get your focus away from the price, to not be like moon boy, degen, moon boy, number go up nonsense. Because if that becomes your focus, then this move from 400 to 800 and then down to 331, that becomes like mentally fatiguing, and you can't take that for very long, especially if, you know, you don't have much money and you were like counting on this to like be the thing that gets you out of your wage cuckery. So that's why you have to, and if you are going to focus on the price, then you really need to focus on the price, and you need to believe that you can trade, and you need to prove it to yourself with small amounts of money before investing, like trading big amounts of money. And some people can be successful at that. Very few. Like, think of like a poor African kid that wants to become a brain surgeon in New York, right? Like, can it happen? Yes. Are you going to have to work your ass off and be like extremely high level? Yeah, almost certainly. Some people get lucky. Some people get lucky. All right, Monero transactions are currently sitting at a little over 30,000, but that was also a spike that just happened in the past few days, really. So overall, this chart looking, so there was actually someone in the comments that was asking, well, you know, what are our criteria for success? So, bro, I don't know if you're still watching. I think it was Captain Yami the Samari, Captain Yami the Samurai, to pronounce it properly. So we're looking at this chart. We've kind of like flatlined here for quite a period of time at around the 20 to 30,000 transaction level. Success, you know, like if we stayed here, you know, we already have limited success. If this was where transaction count stayed, okay. Here's another thing, man. Like, it's really hard, Captain Yami the Samurai. It's really hard for us to say exactly what the truth of crypto is, because ever since ASICs got involved, and ever since Epstein and all their buddies got involved, they've been faking the shit out of fucking everything. The volume, the price, the transaction counts. I look at the transaction counts. I've watched it unfold for years and years now. You know, like Dash or Zcash, Litecoin, you name it, even Bitcoin Cash. Their transaction counts are not honest. I don't know exactly how they're gaming their system, but I know that they are. And they're all ASICs, so of course they're gaming the system. They're all the same fucking guy. They showed that 80% of Bitcoin blocks come from the same template, despite there being all these different pools. It's decentralization theater. It's nonsense. So the reality is that we don't truly, I mean, we could probably remove those biases, and we can try and estimate away those biases. Like, for example, back in 2021, I read a paper where they said that something like 75% of the transactions on Bitcoin are not economically meaningful. They're just people trying to cycle funds to gain anonymity, to move funds, at least temporary anonymity, to move funds through exchanges, stuff like that. But that 75% of the Bitcoin transaction counts weren't economically meaningful. And at that time, Bitcoin had transaction counts of about 25,000. So, you know, you're talking like, I don't know. How do you divide things? I guess it's about 20. Yeah. So you're looking at that case, like only about maybe 50,000 transactions, a little bit more that would actually be economically meaningful, like 55,000 transactions per, and that was back in I believe it was about 2021. So it's kind of a long-winded way of saying, like, bro, it's hard for us to like make correct extrapolation on what should be the transaction count or what should be the price. You know, when everything is so distorted. Nevertheless, like transaction counts on Monero, I do believe are very likely honest. So we would like to see this go maybe 50, 100,000 in the next 5 years, I guess. I don't know, like, don't quote me on that. But I would feel like that's success. If this chart starts slowly going up, if we see an uptrend, and it could even be like, it could be the slightest, gentlest uptrend ever, that would be totally fine. Maybe we can like hallucinate an uptrend in this chart. We actually can, by the way. So you can see like where the bottoms, right, where the bottoms drop out here occasionally, and then you get a little bit of uptrend. You can see that the bottoms are dropping lower and lower. You can see that effectively, like the transaction counts appear to be stabilizing above 20,000 more and more consistently over the years. So this chart does have the slightest of uptrend. So there is Monero adoption happening, and it does make sense. You can see it in the rest of crypto, but it, you know, I can't tell you like exactly what's going to happen in 5 years. I hope that the rest of crypto gets their head out of their ass and just says, you know what, fuck it, guys, let's use Monero. Let's go all in on Monero. Let's use this stuff as money like it was supposed to be used. Whether or not that happens is anyone's guess, right? There are headwinds, and Monero has entities that don't like it. Governments fucking hate Monero. Why do you think they've delisted it from almost every exchange? Okay, let's go into the macro. Let's talk about what's happening in the macro economic sense. Gold is the thing that's happening in the macroeconomic sense. Although they did a strike on Iran. They did a strike on Iran apparently like this morning or last night. So expect gold to move higher. Expect oil to move higher as the Sunday open happens. So tomorrow. That's just how geopolitics works. War makes oil and gold more valuable. This chart currently, the gold chart, is setting up exactly how the last time that we saw, like, you know, the big sort of quote unquote blow off and pullback. Same exact fucking pattern. You have like it immediately just comes back towards the upside. It doesn't even stop, right? Like, yeah, there's a little bit of oscillation, there's a little bit of compressing volatility, and then breakout. And now it's starting to break out above the upper standard deviation bands that were set from that big blow off. And we are effectively, you know, what is it, 52.78? Is that our current price? So effectively, that is 6% off the all-time high, right? The all-time high was about 5,600. We're sitting here at about 5,300. It's almost like it didn't even happen, right? Like this pullback was that's just induced volatility by traders to wipe out longs, to wreck the shorts, right? To take out the leveraged positions. And now those are gone, and gold is going to continue higher. Gold is having the bull market that the Bitcoin maxis and really all the crypto bros were salivating about. So yeah, I mean, this is the same thing that happened last time back in when was this? I guess that was November, October, November last year. Immediately came back to the top side, said, nope, I want to be strong. You know, took a little bit of consolidation, but then immediately, you know, like started moving higher, even faster than my anticipation was. So that was a good thing. And same thing is unfolding here. So I don't know, maybe we could measure peak to peak and like make some kind of prediction here. This is very dubious, by the way. There's 28%. So if we made a peak to peak 28% above the last one, that puts us at about 7,100. So yeah, I guess, you know, and we'll need to look at the RSI. You know what? Let's look at it right now, because, you know, the thing that I ignored on Bitcoin was the RSI. I didn't want to believe it. I was like, we're not even close to my standard deviation. My regression analysis is like, we're not even close to 200,000. We're not even close to that level that I was like anticipating. So I didn't want to believe it, but I was wrong for that. And I mean, I pointed it out. Isn't that the worst when you see it, you point it out and you're like, I know I should believe this, but I don't want to. Okay, currently there is, that's the 4 hour. We need to go to something more long-term. Now, currently there is no bearish divergence on the RSI. Currently gold still looks strong. it would not be surprising though for the next peak to begin a divergence, like maybe pull back, something like that. Like that would be completely unsurprising. That will probably be one of the things we might look at to try and find a top here. And we're not probably going to try and sell the top, but if you're the kind of person that manages your money, you should be looking at the gold and silver markets and asking yourself, when is the right time for me to move from gold into probably real estate? That's probably the pivot here. At least, consult your financial advisor. But since I'm sure you all have financial advisors, actually call Matteo. Call Matteo. He's a CPA. He can actually give you some truly good advice and look at your financial situation. And he takes Monero. So anyways, we'll probably be looking for some kind of RSI divergence here, bearish divergence, and that will be very likely a good time to take some profits on your gold. And at some point, you got to start taking profits on the way up here. Like, don't sell your physical, but probably you guys have like a bullion vault, maybe, or maybe you have like PAX-G or some kind of like gold ticker, right? Maybe you bought GLD on the stock market. You want to start scaling out at some point here. Maybe as we approach 7,000, maybe that's the right time to start scaling out. Again, we'll play it by ear. Just kind of like giving you my free form ideas here. Reverse repos, nothing. We don't care about them. They don't mean anything anymore. They might mean something later in the future, but for now they don't. Oil, as we talked about, these wars are not about securing oil for America. They are about denying oil to the rest of the world, particularly China. But it's also about keeping a high price of oil because the military, it's the lifeblood of the military-industrial complex, and that's the Venezuela invasion saved oil that was about to crash out, fucking burn. So they saved that shit, and then now they're doing in Iran. So I don't know if they're just going to play war with Iran or if they're actually doing strikes on Iran. But likely there is some level of geopolitical oil maneuvering here, natural gas maneuvering, because Iran supplies a lot to China. They want to try and keep this price of oil high. To that question, right, of oil and macro and crashiness, let's go ahead and look at some of the bonds, because the bonds are showing a little beginning of an inkling of doing a thing. I don't know, slightly on the downside here. Again, what we're looking for is bonds to crash out. We're looking for, what happens is people get scared of risk. So stocks, they get scared of stocks, and then they fly into the safety of bonds. They say, oh, look, bonds are 3.5%. Bonds are like 4.5%. If the market crashes, well, then J-Powell is going to have to lower the rates, and then I'm not going to have a good interest rate. I'm going to have to buy bonds down here. So what do? All of the sophisticated players at once run into the bond market, which causes their rates to fall. Right? Because if you're the one selling the bond, if everybody wants your bond, you're like, I don't want to pay you a high rate. I want to pay you a low rate. So rates naturally fall when that happens. So that's like the sign as bonds, like if bonds really start turning down here, that's the sign that that big money, smart money has gotten skittish about the prospect of risk markets. So not too much there, but just a little tick down. I did think it was interesting that the inflation numbers here have come down. So they're actually about to hit their 2% goal, their mandate of price stability, and their 2% inflation CPI targets are being hit as we speak. Maybe not quite. That's 2.5, 2.4%. So they're almost at 2%. I know that they said that they would accept 3. Deflation is also deflation can also be a precursor to a macro crash, right? Deflation is often a precursor to a macro problem. So, if we see things turn down, here's 2006, for example. Yes, the inflation came up at the last moment, but as the real crisis was actually forming in 2006, 2007, you saw inflation take a pretty big dip there. So, we'll probably look at this if we see this spiking down. Again, the name of the game in macro is stability. If you see spikes, you start asking yourself, is there a problem? One thing that they've done that has been very surprising has been the unemployment. This thing has slowly stair-stepped to the top side without actually spiking. So the SOM rule got broken, but of course it had to, because everybody talked about the SOM rule, quote unquote, SHAM, including myself. Before I even knew it was called the SOM rule, we had already identified these patterns. So by now you would have expected some kind of crash, but again, they did the mini crash in April. So that might've been just enough pressure release valve to keep the markets from falling. And then, they've done the Venezuela, so they kept the oil price high, so, they're using all these tricks. It does strike me kind of as like a general commentary that they said that the release of the unredacted Epstein files would take down the entire system. That's not what I heard. What I heard them say was, we will take down the entire system before releasing the unredacted Epstein files. That's really what they're saying. They will start wars, do fucking anything that they have to try and distract away from that shit. So just make sure that, if you're on social media and you're talking to your family and your friends out there in the normie world, that you just keep pressuring that shit. Don't let them forget about it, because that shit is like, it's the poster child of how evil they are. It's like, it says everything about this system is fraudulent, terroristic in nature. Like they're literally terrorists, rape terrorists. So like, don't let them forget about that. I know you guys won't. I don't have to preach to you guys. Y'all already know. All right, guys, I think, let me see. Oh, we should probably look at the stocks really quick. They haven't really done much. They've kind of just been flat, I guess. Like, yeah, I would have maybe expected a little bit more positive action here. But in a way, like, this is starting to look like previous times where stocks, they do this thing. They go up and then they roll over and they kind of like trend sideways. And then there's a little blip down and then they pretend like they're going to come back and then crash. Am I saying there's a macro crash coming? Always. There's always a macro crash somewhere on the horizon. So, broken clocks will eventually get that. Our goal here is not to be a broken clock and say it's coming, and eventually be right. Our goal is to like try and nail that down and say, hey, it's about like, it's here. It's fucking like next month, right? But put it on your calendar. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. We're not there yet, right? But we are finally seeing the slight emergence, the slightest like hint that maybe there is that this crash could be showing up. Again, don't sell your stocks, don't sell your shit, don't run for the hills yet. Here's another thing too. If there is a macro crash or perhaps a secondary mini crash, that could also be the impetus for shoving crypto higher, right? That could be the bottom of the crypto market, some horrible, ungodly wick, maybe even, who knows, back to 20K. I'm not calling for that, but some ungodly wick, whatever. And then they lower the rates and they print the money, and then Bitcoin, finally gets back to 100K. I don't know, right? Like, but that is the pattern, right? That's the kind of shit that we've seen. Like, that would be very, very normal for how these markets unfold. So stock markets having a little bit of trouble here. I don't know. The way things have gone, it would be completely unsurprising if this thing doesn't just eventually in a few weeks shoot to the top side again. That would be very stock markety. I haven't looked at the JPOW schedule. Let's take a look at the JPOW schedule really quick. Can you tell that I've been at Monerotopia and haven't really done much? What are we talking about? Year 2026. FOMC meeting. So it looks like we got one coming up here in a couple weeks. Oh yeah, they've been lazy as fuck. They didn't do shit since January. I think we already covered that meeting too. So yeah, they are going to lower rates throughout the year at some point, and then eventually there's going to be some macro crash, and they are definitely going to lower rates at that point. But now is not the moment for that. The balance sheet isn't really rising. They said that they were gonna stop selling off the balance sheet. And then they said, well, maybe we're gonna like pause that. maybe we're gonna pause our purchases again. I think they're doing so. They're in this zone. The Fed has to like occupy this zone. For anyone that cares, the Fed has to occupy this zone where like they know that the things that they say will be latched onto as forward guidance. That's what they call it. They give the markets forward guidance, and then the markets, like at some point in 2021, were trading on the anticipation of what the forward guidance would be. Like they were front running the forward guidance. It's like retardation squared. It's like fucking autism doubled. So the Fed kind of knows this, and so they often equivocate to try and keep the markets from doing that, and especially if they just want to keep the markets in a holding pattern, and they are like mathematically able to keep them in a holding pattern. And it seems like right now that's probably the case. So anyways, that's probably what we're seeing here with the balance sheet. It's like, will they, won't they, So anyways, that's what's most likely going on there. M2 money continues going up. Sure, why not? Of course it's going to. Let's take a look at some of the gold. I guess silver's also making a comeback. It's lagging behind a little bit in terms of how big it had pumped. So, silver still has, also 28% to get back to its all-time high. So maybe I'm just made that up. But the chart does look slightly more laggy than the way that the gold chart did. But anyways, silver's going to go above what it was. Like when gold breaks out, silver's going to break out again with it. 120 was not the top. I don't know where the top is, guys, but probably. I mean, I do imagine something 200 or higher for silver. We'll see like truly degenerate gains in silver when we expect a top. Let's look at the gold versus the S&P, because this is also another like important thing for us. So hypothetically, we're kind of in that zone. we're kind of in that first resistance zone where you might expect that there could be some consternation here. And that could actually be the top of the gold market. This would be, I don't think it's right here. I don't think it's the bottom of this band. You'll notice it's a pretty wide band. That's 20%. And this band, even the top of that band, doesn't have to be the top. You get spikes sometimes. Like this thing could do this, spike up, and then do that, right? So like the gold market could legitimately still have another like 40% to go. That's possible. So I'm not saying that that is the case, but that I just want to help you guys understand, like wave magic are not hard fucking like lines. You cannot go above this. It's just like probabilistically, usually you don't, but there's standard deviations. So like 2/3 of the data falls outside of the standard deviation. So you have to keep that in mind. Anyways, yeah, gold, this could legitimately be a place for us to corroborate what might be a top. We could also look at the ratio. Oh, where's the ratio? Do I not have it? I swear that I have it. Oh, no, I got rid of it because I wanted to look at it relative to the peso. Probably y'all can imagine why I might want to do that. All right, we'll look at the ratio next week. I don't want to worry about trying to type something into the chart. That's a lot. It's a lot to type there. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you. There's nothing else here worth looking at, I don't think.
I do have a question for you there, Bawdy.
Yeah, what's up?
I think you mentioned a little earlier that the CPI was coming downwards towards like 2.5 or whatever. From what I understand, the producer price index was released like yesterday, and according to what I understood, it came in quite a bit hotter than they expected it to. Do you know anything about that?
I don't. I didn't look at that at all. The producer price index is in blue here, so that would be interesting because that would be kind of a divergence where the producer price index spiked up, and then I guess maybe they've got also CPI numbers coming in as well. How recent are these? That's 1/1. Yeah, so that would be the latest numbers. Are you sure it wasn't an estimate? Like they're still doing the calculations?
It might have been, but I saw something come across that said something came in a lot hotter than they expected it to be. I thought it was yesterday, but I could be wrong.
It's also not uncommon for the news to sort of like, exaggerate the, like maybe they expected it to bump up by like 0.2%, but it bumped up by 0.4%. And they'll be like, inflation is twice as much as we thought. And it's like, well, yeah, but you thought it was going to be some small increase, and now it's still some like modest increase.
Gotcha. All right. So is that all for the price?
Yeah.
All right. We do have a couple of super chats I saw.
Oh yeah, let's read those. Let's see. Let me make sure that I'm reading the right one.
I think it starts with Ashley Fires.
Okay, yeah. So we've got Ashley Fires tipped 0.1 Monero. The most promising I have seen from the conference was the talk of Dr. K. Since Stefan Wolfram is an advisor to Quai or Chi, that proof of work way seems nice. What concrete info is there on making XMR more resilient to 51% attacks? Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss for Shortwave. This is a question for you, Shortwave.
Yeah, I haven't personally been looking too deeply into what exactly is going on with the proof of work changes and whatever. So I'm not sure. You might actually have more information than I do.
Yeah. So it's less. So there are two questions. Are we resilient to 51% attack, and are we resilient to selfish mining attack? Since you didn't ask about selfish mining, we won't really get into that. But the way to make XMR more resilient to 51% attacks is primarily more hash rate. So that's there's ideas to make it to sort of, I don't know, improve or maybe not improve. It's a debatable question. Maybe it's just a question of trade-offs and set points as opposed to improvement, but there are ways to make it so that reorganization costs you more than 50% of the hash power. Like so, for example, maybe you have 50% of the hash power, but if you do some kind of like time weighting on the blocks, then you might, to reorganize a block, say 2 days ago, you might need like 95% of the hash power. Now that's just, that's one of many, many, many proposals. There's a lot of different ways, where you do things like weight uncle blocks, stuff like that. There's a lot of discussion happening there, or at least that has kind of died down because the developer focus right now is on fixing the code base, because there's a lot of cruft in the Monero code base that they discovered when they realized that the network actually wouldn't be able to handle FCMP released as is. And it's basically just like old problems, bugs in the code base, networking issues, stuff like that. So they're currently spending a lot of effort to upgrade all of that. So the question about 51% attacks got set to the back burner significantly.
And then I think the next one is from Xenu.
Yeah, Xenu, we've got 0.001 XMR, 1 Monero. He says, denying the social engineering hack is cope. I 100% agree. Like it's social engineering is perhaps like the hack. Like it's the worst hack. It's the one that's always there. You can never fucking quantum proof your way out of a social engineering hack. And then you tipped. It looks like you sent a tip. I'll let you read it.
Oh yeah, I was just thanking Ashley for her comment.
Thank you, Ashley. Now I think I have.
Go ahead.
Ditto. You're the host, sir. Please.
Oh, I was just gonna say that speaking of social engineering hacks, I'm actually planning on switching to Cloaked Wireless as my service provider this month because I can pay my bill directly in Monero, and since I'm the only one supposedly that can make changes to my account, no social engineering can occur. Even if I lose my password and call, I can't get help. I just lose my number, not your key, not your number.
That's one way to do it. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to start loading the news links. These are all straight from Tony. If you wanted to, hypothetically, we could open up the stage. We could bring people on stage. And they can, viewers on stage can comment on the news as well. That way it's just my salty takes.
Yeah, sure. Hold up. So let me, let's see here. There's a news without Tony segment that I can play because Tony's not here to do the news. So I can play that.
Is it a sad violin?
Oh, that's the funeral march. Whoops. I was thinking, dum, 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 dum. But that's the funeral thing, I think. So let's do that, and then we'll do the viewers on stage. So news without Tony, and then viewers on stage, and we can get Alaska Anon's take on the news and whoever else wants to come up.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, got that ad in there. Gotta thank the sponsors, and then let's do viewers.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right, and for the news, we've got Alaska Anon and Ulysses who can give their hot takes on stage. If anybody else wants to come up, you can find the link to the show at xcancel.com/Monerotopia. That's xcancel.com/Monerotopia.
Has anyone ever noticed that this show has like the best ads ever? Like for some, tiny little ragtag podcast that comes out way more professionally developed than you think it would. We have these like really awesome ads. They're quite entertaining. I
mean, the last one is what I put on, at the end of a good date.
That's because Sunita's awesome.
Exactly. Like I love they're very self-aware, right? So they're like the XMR bar one kind of like even pokes fun at like the nature and like the clownness of it all, but it also it is legitimately like the product that it claims to be.
Yeah, I mean it's gambling, it's a little bit of degeneracy. I don't know if there's anything wrong with either. All right,
it's mathematically fair degeneracy.
Provably fair.
It's the thing is that's actually like a rare commodity these days. Like it's really hard to find anything that's like true to its, like this is the provably fair gamble that you're taking. If you want a dopamine rush, I got you, bro. Like it's nowadays almost everything, like you buy your bag and you find out it's laced with whatever, right? Like and I don't mean that in the drug sense. I mean like in the actual sense of everything seems to be like cut with bullshit in a social sense. Like you go to the bar, it's like, oh, it's going to be this much money, and then you get your bill and it's more. Or like you go sign up for something and it's like, oh, for the low cost of, and then you get your first bill and it's like startup fee, convenience fee. Like it's very refreshing to be like, you want to gamble? Like here's the numbers.
Or those traps you can't get out of, like gym memberships. You sign up and then when you want to cancel, it takes like an act of Congress to cancel it.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. I mean, even acts of, what was it? Yeah, acts of parliament. Like they have all kinds of laws in a couple of countries in Europe. You have to make it easy to cancel. Nobody even observes it. They just still make it hard anyway, and nobody ever stops anything.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and pivot here into the news. We've got Vik has said that he guarantees that Cake Wallet will be everyone's Bitcoin Lightning wallet. Lightning Cake. The graphics has a lightning bolt and it says Cake Wallet. If Vik can't do it, nobody can do it. Like, if I believe that Vik can probably make a pretty solid Lightning wallet.
Well, behind the scenes, they've been working so hard on this refresh that they've been doing that I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty epic. It's probably one of the largest teams that's ever tried to tackle this problem, if I'm not mistaken.
No kidding.
I think I heard that refresh was released yesterday or something like that, but I've got to confirm. And if it is, I've got to test it for accessibility to make sure that it's properly working with the screen readers.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I've always wanted to hold open the possibility that Lightning could do it. It just felt like every time, like the last time that I like opened my heart up to Lightning, that's when the ordinals hit, and then like the chain was just trashed, and I was like, well, fuck, I got my heart stomped on, you know.
You know, the wallet, I don't know if you guys got to see, but the wallet that my wife was using to buy all of the Monero and like was running around just buying and selling Monero, that was actually the refresh. Okay. We were trying it out at the same time. So I just used the OG wallet, but
yeah, same. All right, so we have another post from TRM Labs. Not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at here. Here we go. Monero in 2025, persistent use and emerging network layer insights. All right, so it looks like just a general report on what's happening with Monero. The key takeaways: transaction activity is stable and resilient. Ransomware actors continue to express preference for Monero. Yeah, that we definitely knew that. Monero's share of darknet market adoption is rising. It's not rising. We're at like 100%. You can't get any higher. We're at like 98%. All right, but anyways, okay, so let's read that. Nearly half of newly launched markets in 2025 supporting XMR exclusively, a sharp increase from prior years and signaling of shifting behaviors in high-risk environments. I don't know. I kind of take issue with that. I feel like we've already seen the rise of the Monero-only darknet market, and now it's just churned. The feds take a darknet market down, the shit churns, or people exit, scam, whatever, and then a new market springs up. I don't know. Anyways, maybe they're right. Go ahead.
What I read from that was that if 48% of markets are Monero exclusive, that means that 52% of markets don't care about their users.
Yeah, basically. That means 52% of markets are feds. New research shows 14 to 15% of Monero network peers behave non-standardly. Okay, so this reveals persistent deviations in relay behavior, message timing, and infrastructure concentration that may influence privacy assumptions. Yeah, that would influence Dandelion specifically. And I have seen some chatter on Twitter about it does seem like there are data center nodes being run now. And I mean, we already knew from Cypher Trace that they were trying to defeat Dandelion. And if any of you guys listened to my very long debate with Super Testnet, the Dandelion is an obfuscatory mechanism that tries to create enough noise so that you can hide in the noise. It's not a cryptographic mechanism like securing the amounts, right? Like it's not encrypting the amounts, but right, there's a cryptographic obfuscation over the amounts that cannot be broken, right? So Dandelion is a different type of obfuscation, and that's what Lightning Network relies on for their privacy or non-privacy. All right. Last one here, they say Monero's on-chain privacy remains intact, but real-world network dynamics matter, as peer-to-peer behavior can introduce structural visibility that affects theoretical anonymity models used in investigations. Yeah, this is true. I mean, that's a fancy way of saying that we use ring signatures and that there are ways of edge case divining, reducing the ring count. All right, I guess we don't probably need to read the whole article, but for those of you interested, this is trmlabs.com. Looks like they have a full write-up on Monero. Most excellent. All right, next we have the ODYSEE letter. Breaking, the Supreme Court of the United States has officially ruled that the President Trump's tariffs are illegal in a 6-3 ruling. The U.S. now faces $150 billion in potential tariff refunds. Yeah, actually, that's something I forgot to cover in the price report. It's kind of old news by now. I think it's like a couple weeks ago. Was it a couple weeks ago? Yeah, maybe it was last week. My bad. I forgot to cover it. Thank you, Tony, for covering that, because that's extremely price relevant. So what's funny about this is that the people that paid more money are not going to see those refunds. Companies are going to be the ones to get those refunds. And I am Jack's complete lack of surprise here. Of course, that was just a way for them to charge you higher prices, and ultimately, it's like a backdoor way of charging your customers higher prices by having to do a tariff refund. You could probably also expect that was just one part of the framework. So there's another major piece of the framework that they were leveraging. They're probably going to leverage on that harder now, so expect that. But the other thing, like price related here, is that you have, like, it's so weird the way that they've been doing all the news releases. We were expecting this release back in like November, but most of the front running had already been done anyways by that time, because everyone basically knew what the result was going to be. So the Supreme Court is here, like they're in on the fraud. They're delaying the ruling. They delayed it so long that by the time the ruling came out, nobody cared. The markets didn't even hiccup. They didn't burp. They didn't do nothing. So it's just like, that's just how they run things now. Like, if some news is going to come out, they're going to front run it, which they always have. And then at the time it's supposed to come out, they're going to delay it, and then that will get front run. So by the time the news is released, like, it's just almost irrelevant. So, but it is relevant. Like, okay, we all knew this was going to happen. Finally, fucking finally, it only took them almost a year to decide that.
I don't know if you know this, but then the press conference immediately after, he just announced a 10% tariff worldwide. And then on Truth Social, he upped it to 15%. Like the dude is just, he's insane. And like the despotism is actually ridiculous. Like right after the Supreme Court tells him you can't do tariffs, well, then he uses another law. And he's like, oh, this one lets me do tariffs. And that one's even more ridiculously dubious, that he's trying to like derive this power from. And he's like, it's the entire world.
That's the thing, is they had, like, he was using a couple different frameworks to push these tariffs. So there was a framework that they had established in Trump 1, and that stuck through Biden. Biden never repealed that. Obviously, why would he? But then he introduced like another major framework, and it's that secondary major framework that got taken down. But the first framework is still in place, and I don't think that one's going to be removed. Maybe, and I'd have to look this up, but maybe there could be something to say for, you're not allowed to sort of capriciously, arbitrarily just move those set points to whatever the hell you feel like just because you're the POTUS. But the truth is, he can do that apparently, because that's what he did for an entire year on an unconstitutional framework. So it's like, it kind of doesn't matter, right? Like, you just get your hand slapped at the end of it, and you did the thing, and you got the cook.
Like, there's no punishment for people just doing this. Like, no one's going to create any impeachment articles. Nobody's going to like stop him in a reasonable amount of time. They're probably just going to profit from it. But the law that he cited to say that he can just put a 10% tariff on the world, it's a law from right before they decoupled gold that basically it was for the purposes of stabilizing like financial markets for currencies against each other. And it was like completely null and void and useless once they decoupled it from gold. So it's one of the most useless and irrelevant. The reason it's never been taken off of the books is because it doesn't even apply to a fiat-based economy anymore. It was a way for them to fix the value of the dollar against other currencies now that there was no gold window, and up until there was no gold window. So the tariff has like nothing to do with it at all. But he's just like, I'm going to use this even more dubious one and just charge higher prices. And I think the real point, the real message is, sue me all you want, but we'll just do it again until that one's removed, and then we'll do another one. And it kind of reminds me of like, I'm going to create the board of peace and just give me and my homies $10 billion. You know, like just the blatant despotism is just getting wild with this guy. And it's very refreshing as an anarchist to be like, yeah, see, now we don't have to lie about it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
This is definitely fourth turning stuff.
I think a lot of the MAGA are realizing like they're not quite anarchists yet, but they certainly are. A lot of them are starting to express anarchist tendencies. All right, next story, we have Sam Bent, one of my favorite guys on Twitter, actually, at Doing Fed Time. He says, Dread is running a writing contest with $1,750 in Monero prizes and one very specific ban, AI-generated content. Link below. Dread writing contest. It sounds interesting. No AI content.
Sounds interesting.
You thinking about participating?
Yeah, I don't know what I'd write, but yeah, that sounds like fun.
No AI slop? No, I know you wouldn't. You're not that kind of man. That's a cool story from Sam Bent. All right, we also have G. Müller from UTXO Studios. He says, what's more, Decred community respects and supports Monero. They voted to fund development on integrating XMR into Bison wallet DEX. Advanced privacy, security-focused multi-wallet with atomic swaps. No KYC, no fees, no questions asked. Dev work ongoing. Soon. XMR handshake, Decred. Yeah, the Decred guys have always been very friendly to us. I feel like we haven't reciprocated. Like, we're friendly with them, we're equally friendly, but I feel like we haven't reciprocated the attention. You know, it's like a girlfriend that pays attention to you that you don't pay attention to her. I feel like we don't pay them enough attention. The Decred community seems righteous.
I'd pay more attention if they actually like that, but they prefer to be ignored. So, you know. Oh, right. We're talking. Never mind.
I mean, when you're ignored, it's a lot easier to work. Like, that's 100% true. All right, the Kobasi letter. They say, breaking, IBM stock falls over 10% after Anthropic announces that Claude can streamline COBOL code. It's becoming increasingly clear how pivotal the times we are in right now truly are. God damn it, I can't read. I guess I am unable to read. You know what's happened, actually? The problem is that I've gotten into this habit of sort of like skipping words that are like not super necessary. So my brain reads it that way sometimes. Anyways, so yeah, COBOL is the language in which all the old banking software is written in, and they've like never really updated that central bank software because it's so crucial. They're like, no, it fucking works. Don't touch it. Like, only do the tiniest little upgrade changes. Like, stick with COBOL. So I don't know how much this is going to matter. You know, like, okay, Claude can streamline COBOL code, but is it good code? People still have to review that shit. Like, the places that COBOL is still used are absolutely financially crucial infrastructure. So it's hard to think that Claude is just going to up and replace that, especially with Hesketh and whoever the fuck the president and the administration. When Anthropic refused to make killbots for Department of Defense, you know, they went all crazy. Probably we'll get to that. I bet that's here somewhere. But yeah, IBM stock down 10%. Sorry, I don't know. Fuck you, IBM. They were the ones that they're just your typical, you know, media giant.
So
all right,
vibe coding central banking. Probably not a good idea.
We like vibe coded our entire fiat currency. What could possibly go wrong?
I mean, if you did vibe code central bank software and it broke, that might be a good thing for crypto.
It might, and it would also be a very convenient excuse for, like, imagine this. They're like, okay, guys, we got another macro crash coming up. It's mathematically inevitable. What can we blame this time? Let's blame the vibe coded COBOL banking infrastructure. All right. Real Alex Jones says, historic bombshell. CIA file. Wait, let me try this again. Historic bombshell. CIA files reveals plans to brain damage and kill the American people by covertly poisoning vaccines, food, water with deadly toxins. Every conspiracy theorist has now been 100% vindicated. Just imagine what's going to come next. My best Alex Jones voice that I can do.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, shit. So they're, I mean, of course they are. Like, we've known this is why the feds come in and shut down all the family farms, all the farms that try and sell raw milk and eggs with the bloom still on them and not using glyphosate. And, oh, well, you didn't obey some fucking regulation here. And, oh, it's so dangerous. You need to go down to the fucking 7-Eleven and buy a pack of Skittles and a White Claw. Like it's so rampantly, violently tyrannical now. I don't know. I just don't see how people don't realize that.
I think a lot of people realize it. It's just the scale of what's happening is like, it just blanks their minds out. There's like, what, how do I, what?
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of like psychosis that seems to go on when people get dumped on the way that they have been. I mean, yeah, there's been people telling them about this stuff for, I mean, who knows how long, longer than I've been alive, right? But when you can't deny it because even the perpetrators are basically admitting their guilt and just like standing there like, what are you going to do about it? I think that they just kind of shut down like mentally.
Yeah, that's very primal. Like, that's very bully on the playground. Like, the bully pushes down the kid and kid's like, I don't know, I can't do anything. And I think the people feel helpless. They don't realize they've already lost everything. Maybe it's just because they've been poisoned with vaccines, food, water, and deadly toxins. But like, they don't realize you don't have much left to lose, guys. Like, they've poisoned fucking everything. They've destroyed everything. Like, it's you have to at some point ask yourself, are you just going to die or are you going to fight for your life at some point here? And I don't know, they're too busy watching football or something.
They're comfortable. Like this type of tyranny is really clever because by keeping them comfortable to the very end, like there's no resistance. There's no will to live.
You've heard of gulag tyranny. You've heard of slavery tyranny, but have you heard of comfort tyranny?
It's comfy in the cave.
It ended up being like the missing piece to the formula, and like, how do you fight that? Like, as a person who wants to end the tyranny, like, how do you fight the fact that people are they're drawn to the comfort and they're just going to always want to be comfortable? Like, what's the weapon against that? It's hard to figure out.
Yeah. Let me know when you have an answer, bro. I definitely don't. All right, so next we have Alex Prompter. He says, holy shit, your anonymous internet identity can now be unmasked for $1? Not by the FBI, by anyone with access to Claude or ChatGPT, and a few of your Reddit comments. ETH, Zurich, and Anthropic just dropped a paper called Large-Scale Online De-Anonymization with LLMs, and the results are the most alarming privacy research I've read this year. They built an automated pipeline that takes your anonymous post, extracts your identity signals, searches the web, and figures out who you are. No human investigator needed, fully autonomous, works on Hacker News, Reddit, LinkedIn, and redacted interview transcripts. Here's how bad the numbers are. On Hacker News, 67% of users were identified correctly. When the system made a guess, it was right 90% of the time. On Reddit, academics posting under pseudonyms 52% of the time. On scientists who interview transcripts were explicitly redacted for privacy, 9 out of 33 still got unmasked. The pipeline works in 4 steps they call ESRC, extract identity signals from your posts using LLMs. Search for candidate matches using embeddings across thousands of profiles. Reason over top candidates with models like GPT 5.2. Calibrate confidence so when it does guess, it almost never guesses wrong. The classical de-anonymization method from the famous Netflix prize attack, nearly 0% recall across every test. LLMs didn't just... it sounds like it's written by an LLM. LLMs didn't just improve on old techniques. They made old techniques look like toys. Read in my stupidest LLM voice. When they scaled to temporarily split Reddit profiles, matching a user's old posts to their newer ones across a full year gap, the pipeline hit 67% recall at 90% precision and 38% recall at 99% precision. Okay. All right, let's just skip over some stuff here. Split subtasks that look benign. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like jargon in here. This was almost certainly written by an AI, by the way. This is what we just read, or at least heavily edited by an AI, by LLM. Their conclusion is blunt. Users who post under persistent usernames should assume that adversaries can link their accounts to real identities, and it extrapolates. Yeah.
It's interesting that it says practical anonymity on the internet just died. But then it's just like, oh, but this is for, people that use LinkedIn and Reddit. It's like, well, if you don't use fucking LinkedIn and Reddit, then they probably won't be able to de-anonymize you.
Yeah, so to distill what that mouthful of jargon said, effectively it's writing stylism. It's the kind of misspelling mistakes that you make, the kind of grammatical habits that you have. And all of these add up to little data points, little bits that everyone has kind of a fairly unique signature. It's how you can tell that something was written by an LLM. Your brain just knows. You're like, nobody talks like that. Like, what was that fucking? It didn't just this. It actually did something much more hyperbolic, right? Like, it's just, so anyways, but we all have like these stylisms. And what they're saying here is that if you have a reasonably large enough sample size of things that you have posted online, they can take that and then correlate it to stuff that was posted in completely separate locations that have nothing to like, that you have a completely different screen name. And this is kind of something we've always known. And if you notice some of the numbers that they talked about here, they talked about scientists having a much lower, they didn't particularly like highlight that fact, but let me see if I can find it.
It's like 9 out of 33 or something.
Yeah, on scientists whose interview transcripts were explicitly redacted for privacy, 9 out of 33. And then there was another one about scientists in general that was, Reddit academics posting under pseudonyms, 52%. And the reason for that is that academic language has kind of I'm sure you've noticed, it's sort of a dry, kind of standardized way of framing things. But you're still conveying information. So yeah, I mean, this is something that everyone should know. Even if you think you're using an LLM anonymously, you're probably not, because your writing stylism is clear. So if you want to ask a question that's not from quote unquote you, from like some Tor Nano GPT, must you necessary is to talk stupid to mask who is. You know what I mean?
As autistic as possible.
Something like that. And also, depending on the platform you're on, you might want to copy paste your comment into the query box, because they are looking at your typing stylisms. Interesting story. I mean, it's very hard to be anonymous, and you really, if you think you are, probably not. You really have to think deeply about this stuff. Okay, Anthropic says, a statement from Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei on our discussions with the Department of War. A statement on our discussions with the Department of War. All right, let's click that and see what kind of statements they made. We won't read the whole thing. Let's see, how long is this? It's kind of long. We'll just like skim this. I deeply believe in the existential importance of AI to defend the United States and democracy, to defeat our autocratic adversaries. Wow, what a great opening statement. Therefore, we've worked proactively to develop our models with the Department of War. We've acted to defend America's interests. We understand the Department of War, not private companies, make military decisions. We've never objected to particular military operations. He's setting us up, right? We can trust him now. However, in a narrow set of cases, we believe AI can undermine rather than defund democratic values. Some uses are also simply outside the bounds of what today's technology can safely and reliably do. 2 such use cases have never been included in our contracts with the Department of War, and we believe they should not be included now. Number 1, mass domestic surveillance. We support the use of AI for lawful foreign intelligence and counterintelligence missions, but using these systems for mass domestic surveillance is incompatible with democratic values. Okay, a little clap there, I guess, for him. Sounds nice. Fully autonomous. Number 2, fully autonomous weapons. Partially autonomous weapons like those used today in Ukraine are vital to the defense of democracy. Even fully autonomous weapons, those that take humans out of the loop entirely and automate selecting and engaging targets, may prove critical for our national defense. But today, frontier AI systems are simply not reliable enough to power fully autonomous weapons. We will not knowingly provide a product that puts America's warfighters and civilians at risk. We have offered to work directly with the Department of War on research and development to improve the reliability of these systems, but they have not accepted this offer. In addition, without proper oversight, fully autonomous weapons cannot be relied upon to exercise the critical judgment that our highly trained professional troops exhibit every day. They need to be deployed with proper guardrails, which don't exist today. All right, that's enough. We don't need to read the rest of the whole thing. Yeah. So for those,
right, the very next large paragraph. Go back down a little bit. This is the gem. See that one right there? Look at the bottom. Like
this right here.
Yeah, I think that's where
we'll just read the whole paragraph. I'll read it fast. The Department of War stated that they will only
trust me.
The Department of War stated that they will only contract with AI companies who accede to any lawful use and remove safeguards in the cases mentioned above. They have threatened to remove us from their systems if we maintain these safeguards. They have also threatened to designate us a supply chain risk, a label reserved for U.S. adversaries never before applied to an American company, and to invoke the Defense Production Act to force the safeguards removal. The latter two threats are inherently contradictory. One labels us a security risk. The other labels Claude as essential to national security. Regardless, these threats do not change our position. We cannot in good conscience accede to their request.
Well, think about what that means, though. Basically, if you refuse to participate, which this would include conscientious objection, if you refuse to participate in autonomous killing machines, you can be designated an enemy of the state and your company can be shut down. Everybody think about this. They are basically saying, the Department of War is saying, if you refuse to help us build Terminators, you are an enemy of the state.
Yeah, gee, I wonder who they're going to use those Terminators against. Can't possibly imagine.
I mean, it's totally a coincidence that they also want domestic surveillance removed. Those are totally unrelated, Bawdy. I assure you, there is no connection whatsoever between the Terminators and the mass surveillance.
It's a coincidence.
Crackpot conspiracy theorists. This is the line. This is the last line they're going to cross and not the other one. Okay.
If you cross this line, no further shall you cross. Okay, well, if you cross this line, that's us. Hey, we have we just got an XMR chat from Quadriosalata. It's a hard name to pronounce. Are you Italian, brother?
Why won't they just come up? Like they talk constantly on these shows. Like,
well, it's an XMR chat, so I mean, we'll graciously accept the 0.1 Millinero.
But I hope they know that they can always come up here. We would love to have you.
Yes, please, guys. Some of them say their laptop. Like I got a comment here today. He said my laptop microphone is trash. So I don't know. Anyways, Quadriosalata tipped 0.1 Millinero. He says maybe one day in the YouTube comments. Thanks, Alaska. Okay, Quadriosalata tipped 0.1 Millinero. He says, does anyone use lobstay.rs? So lobsters with a period in there. Anyone use lobstay.rs? Wanted to share about the site since it is minimal, technical, and doesn't have a toxic algo. Would be cool if you could pull it up to show the viewers. Yeah. Let's look at Lobstay. Are you about to take over am I about to download something that's going to destroy my...
I have no idea what this is.
Hey, joke's on you, though. Even if it is malware, I'm just going to turn off this container and I'll be totally pure again, purified.
Like OpenClaw stuff?
Let's see. Okay, so active comments.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually been shut down as a scraper.
This website?
Yeah. It's since 2019.
Shit, I don't know. All right, well, here's your website. He's still commenting. Oh, maybe you'll go to Monero.Town. All right. It's all been social engineering. 15 years of indie dev, bits of advice. Yeah, interesting. So, okay, it just looks like a technically oriented commentary on quite a number of different topics, including AI. Cool, man. Thanks for sharing. He says it's not shut down. What made you say that it was shut down, Alaska?
Okay, so check this. If you have like all of your blockers on, Lobsters has blocked this browser since a scam in 2019. We still block it because they lie about following standards to scrape and sell copies of websites. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but they have previously targeted Lobsters by name and have used a years long pattern of bad behavior.
I have to step out for a second. I'm sorry, but y'all are gonna have to like continue on your own.
For sure.
Okay.
No, so I'm not necessarily saying that like the website itself is the problem. It's just there's been kind of a lot of back and forth about what you can and can't use to access the website, apparently. So I don't know, but let me try it on a different browser and see what happens.
Lobsters. What an interesting name for a website.
Yeah, so if I use one with a little bit more like loose security, it opens up just fine. So If anybody's having problems loading it, it's probably either the browser that you're using or you're going to have to turn something off.
Well, since we're on that Anthropic page, I think the other thing too is like, great, they put out this statement about like, oh, we don't want to create, AI mass surveillance and we don't want to have autonomous weapons. There aren't statements from any of the other AI companies out there, is there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so that would mean those other AI companies are perfectly happy to go along with that.
So, maybe it's like the black pill, but the reality is it's probably more likely not that they're taking some kind of like conscientious stance. They might even be trying to build like street cred with the community. But I bet the primary purpose of this is to just publicly state that it's a war crime in the United States to not build T1000s. Like, that's kind of the way that I'm looking at this right now, because it's a great way to slip in the idea of, oh yeah, you're a war criminal if you don't help us kill people. And then you could keep stretching that definition to also say there's no such thing as a conscientious objector. I mean, honestly, at that point, what's the difference between we can ship you off to the meat grinder and basically guarantee that you're going to die? Like, if you can be drafted and they can make your job description jump out of a plane with no parachute, then at that point, I mean, don't they own your organs? They own your brain. They own, it's almost like just an Overton window exercise to me. They're just trying to make it okay to say that we can force you to use your brain to develop killing machines. And I wouldn't put it past them to do it in this way, to just throw it in your face like that. And so since I can't actually, do anything with the screen or whatever, one of the things that I wanted to point out, because I had mentioned it. So if anybody doesn't know about like the thing with Trump and the $10 billion that I was talking about, and I'm actually going to tie this to Monero like really quickly here, but the Board of Peace was formed by Trump, and then he immediately labels himself like king for life or whatever he called the title. Let's see, designated as chairman for life, according to Wikipedia. But
if you want to share your screen, Alaska, I think I can bring it up.
Let me see here. Let me mute it for a second.
It might take a minute, but I think I can actually do it.
Okay, I opened up the wiki article that I was using.
Okay, let's see here. Can we do this? Is that it? Or is that somebody else?
It's not on mine yet. So
let's see.
Here, I'll do this. I'll make the pointer really big, or does it only do it on my screen?
Here we go. I think, oh wait, I need to remove, I see what the problem is. I need to remove bodies first. And then I think I should be able to add Alaska's. Try that. No, that's
It's the same one.
Alaska. Hey, you should be on now. It says
yep,
remove.
I'm on now.
Okay, cool.
So the Board of Peace is what's created, and I'm not going to read through all of this, but I just want you guys to know if if you want to check me on what I said earlier. But one of the things that I find really interesting about this is he creates this, makes himself chairman for life, and then gives it $10 billion. And then other countries, in order to become like permanent members of this board that gets them basically nothing, they have to give billions of dollars. So it's basically like, bribe us or we're going to do things. And this is the board that's supposed to like govern the peace process in the Middle East. And then if you go to the guy, this is the guy that they put in charge of handling like the Gaza peace broker thing. Well, this guy is just like you know, for example, Putin and all these other people that are supposed to be like independent or adversarial. They're part of that same George Soros group. What was it called? Somewhere in here, I bet you it'll tell you.
Open Society.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Open Society. But yeah, that's got to be what it was called.
Yeah, First Landing Career.
Yeah, so the thing is like this is literally an open society foundation, just like all of the rest of them, right? So they pretend that they're negotiating and that, you know, they're on different sides or whatever. These people were groomed and raised together, and every single person on this board is just basically like the CFR and all the yeah, like I think Nikolai was actually also part of the European CFR. So it's the same thing all over again, right? It's just we're going to give ourselves just a crap ton of money and then put ourselves in charge of what happens to this war-torn, you know, death sentence of a place to live. And then most of the people who are on this peace process board are all like just hardcore Zionists. And the point being that like their first task is to handle the ceasefire in the Middle East with Gaza. And then as soon as like the ceasefire happens and this board of peace is initiated and stuff, the very next thing, all right, let's start attacking Iran. And I don't know if what was it? Trevor Noah was his name, but that hilarious skit about like, yeah, we have a moon base and there's bears with assault rifles and all this. I should see if I can try to find it. But the premise being like throwing all of this crap in your face in the you know, the press releases, like as a joke. And then one of the journalists stands up and says, do we happen to be invading Iran today? Oh, you got me, right? Well, here it is 10 years later in that comedy skit, like, let's release the UFO files and all this other stuff. Like, and then immediately after they go to war with Iran, it was almost like predictive programming that this comedian kept pointing out that like they would have more and more ridiculous statements before they would invade Iran. And now they literally used like UFOs, just like the moon base thing and the space wizards that Trevor Noah was joking about. They did the exact same thing, but they set up this board right here. And this board, they just give it a bunch of money executively. Like through, as far as I understand, no act of Congress, no appropriations bill, no nothing. He just like gives himself billions of dollars and then immediately appoints himself the guy who's going to decide what happens to Gaza and so on. It's pretty wild.
And then you wonder why trust in institutions is at an absolute all-time low, and that people are so damn like just not like, just people are just NPCs.
Well, the thing that gives it all of this power, though, it's one of the reasons why I love these like open, blatant, just like criminality, is if you can make records of this that you can show people or like save it to your phone or whatever. And then you can say, you know, there is something we can do about this. And it's just start buying, holding, and using Monero, because it removes their, not only their ability to, you know, like self-contribute, right? Rob your purchasing power from your savings and just give it to themselves. But then on top of that, like the tax ecosystem is part of how they do this. And the spy grid is part of how they do this. And even like the social engineering management has to do with, you know, what are people buying and what are they looking at and what websites are they, how they get away with this is figuring out what you're paying attention to, what you're doing with your money and so on. Monero really does actually solve this kind of stuff.
Well, I think that's why the whole like culture creation is so important. And I'm not just saying that as like, you know, a designer and a, you know, illustrator. It's the more people that pile on and start doing this, all aspects of this, of just like No, there are alternatives to this nonsense. You don't have to put up with this. Hopefully that inspires more people to just start doing something small in their own way, you know.
Another really crazy thing about the story that we just had with, you know, being able to use AI plus heuristics to de-anonymize pseudo-anonymity. But the thing is all of those heuristics are based on being able to collect good data and being able to scrape a full picture. And each and every one of us that, like, even if it's just a 10% reduction in our digital footprint, results in a massive discrepancy in the quality of the outputs of the AI, because they really do rely on massive patterns, massive data blocks, and trusting that those data sets are at least a certain degree of accurate. And another thing that you can do is you can even just make noise. You know, you can create a whole bunch of different accounts and start publishing like random already written writing styles that an AI wouldn't be able to scrape. Like, for example, you could scan a book that doesn't exist on the internet, or, you know, a news article from a local newspaper before the internet existed, and then just paste all the data into it with a different account, and then change the wording a little bit to make it like garbage data.
I managed to make it back.
We
missed everything.
All right, hold up. So I had Alaska's screen up while you were gone. So let's see.
Okay, did y'all manage to get the news articles?
No,
oh,
we were just talking about what was
meandered like a bunch of, well, you know.
So Bawdy.
Yeah, sorry, I had a high ticket item being delivered, and they wanted a fucking password, and the stupid website didn't have a password, so I had to go and do a bunch of autism. All right.
Are you back on screen there?
Yeah, I think I'm up here.
Cool.
So we got Nick Sorter. He says, breaking. So we were talking about Anthropic a second ago. Breaking. President Trump orders all U.S. government agencies to cease using Anthropic's AI's tool after they messed around with the Pentagon. Mess around equals we will not make killbots for you. This is a huge blow to the firm, which Elon Musk calls misanthropic. Elon Musk. Quite. As they're anti-American and anti-human. The United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. Hey,
I like how the anti-human stance is the one where just like, we're not going to make AI-powered mass surveillance and autonomous weapons. That's the anti-human.
It's the radical left. Like, if you don't want Terminators, you are the radical left. That's just incredible, isn't it?
I can't believe that, like, they still say this stuff, and it's weird to me that it has any impact on anyone, but it says the left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War. Their selfishness is putting American lives at risk, our troops in danger, all national security in jeopardy. So, yeah, that was the blowback. So, okay, but let's like take a little bit of a step back here. Anthropic now, at the moment, kind of like Apple for a little bit, Apple was like, we're not going to unlock these phones. We believe, you know, rah. And they're like pounding their fists on the desk, right? But in reality, in the background, they had already unlocked the shit. They had already, like, the government already had access. And the whole show, the trial, it was just for show. And I wonder right here about if there isn't some of that going on. The reason I say that is because another very recent story related to Anthropic was fully autonomous agents that are capable of penetrating all kinds of corporate infrastructure, servers, server farms, etc. They basically, the Chinese, supposedly it was the Chinese, they set Anthropic autonomous agents to run for like 48 hours, I think it was, maybe it's 24. And they just like hacked a shitload of corporate infrastructure. And all they had to do was be like, oh, well, I'm just doing white hat pen testing. And Anthropic was like, oh, well, in that case. And then it just fucking like just destroyed the infrastructure. And it's like, that's retarded. That's the very first thing that my dumbass would think to say if I was trying to hack Anthropic, and you're telling me that they didn't build any protection in there. So it's like, what's going on the back end there? Like, is there a geopolitical thing where Anthropic is aligned with China? Is this just like a surface story so that, you know, to feed the plebs, Anthropic is the friendly AI that doesn't spy on you? Oh, do they? Anyways, it's just like the skeptical take, but just some context to add there.
Yeah, earlier I was also saying, like, it seems to me it just reeks of like trying to move the Overton window. And then you went to this news article and it was like triple confirmation that that is exactly what's happening. Like there's no actual protest to any of this. They're just trying to make it normal where it's like, oh, you're a software engineer who won't make killing robots? Well, off to the gulag with you. You know, it's just like a small subtle reminder that like you will obey, you will be the Borg.
Comfort tyranny is only for those that work on the killbots voluntarily.
We're sorry, you don't have enough Killbot credits to have a blanket today.
Your software has not murdered a sufficient number of brown people in foreign nations.
You laugh, but it's probably going to be true.
Well, we're just clown pilled, right? Like, I mean, we saw this coming 30 years ago. At this point, it's just funny. Like,
dude, clown pilled is my new phrase, bro. I'm fucking appropriating that to my personal gulag. All right, let's see. Next, we have the Rage Tech, the Financial Ass Task Force, the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, has published a new report on cyber-enabled fraud, deeming peer-to-peer transactions and decentralized finance money laundering infrastructure. Notably, the report offers no statistics to support such claims and rather relies on anecdotal evidence that the increased use of virtual assets contributes to an increase in cybercrime-related fraud. FATF calls for greater payment transparency and the application of AI machine learning for the tracing of funds, as well as for implementation of FATF guidance for virtual assets, which could go as far as subjecting front-end developers and non-custodial wallets to anti-money laundering regulations. That sounds like what we already have. Like, we already know that if you're a front-end developer and you have a custodial wallet, you're almost certainly going to get attacked by the government. But yeah, I mean, okay, so they made another asinine statement. Peer-to-peer transactions is money laundering infrastructure.
Great advertisement for Monero.
Great advertisement for money laundering. Fuck those guys. I was just kidding. All right.
There's a certain element of this too where it's like, since everything is just going to eventually be illegal anyway, like, do we care anymore? Are we still pretending to care? Like, can we all just stop caring now about appeasing satanic pedophiles, right? So
yeah, seriously,
there's that too.
Like, yeah, that times 10. I got to stop myself from saying too much. All right, we have a more lighthearted post now from Monero Reddit. He says, I guess his name is user IsSnoo. Is that like a reference to Futurama? Anyways, IsSnoo made my first purchase. Outside of donations, I made my first purchase. I decided to use some saved up XMR on Resident Evil Requiem. Everything was pretty simple. The only thing that ended up being scary was the game. All right, cool. I wonder what platform that was. I guess probably can't be Steam.
Yeah, you can get Steam gift cards on coin cards.
Yeah, so of course.
Probably what happened.
Cool. All right. Salute to you, Mr. Snoo. Hope you're getting snoo. Not if you're playing video games or too much video games. All right. Next, we have looks like a website, XMR Hub, your gateway to the Monero economy. Declaration of war against central banking. Why your business should start accepting Monero. We got some recent posts. Looks like generally just looks like a promotional website. I like it. It has a nice look to it. This is the Monero Maverick website, and as much as the consternation some of us have had with Mr. Maverick, to the extent that we overlap on Monero, we actually overlap on a lot more. You know, we just can't like be like Monero is the Hitler coin. Like we can't. Like I don't even like Hitler. He was kind of a bad guy, but anyways. There's a lot of overlap with those guys, and this does look like a slick website. I know nothing else about it other than that, so you know, don't come at me if there's like 20 scripts infecting your computer here, which would apparently at this moment be my computer. Yeah. Anyways, cool design, bro. I think the color scheme is actually pretty good. I think it's unique. It definitely looks different than most websites do. So yeah, right on.
I totally agree with you, except for like the little house shop thing. I think that's a little like weird and corny.
Yeah, maybe this could have been done better. You're right.
There rest of it, for real, it does look it. And then the subtitle text could probably use a little tweaking. You know, they should call Ulysses. He makes great fonts. It's a pretty easy job, and he accepts Monero. Like,
yeah, they can hire me on XMR Bazaar.
Bro, you make fonts? That's really cool.
Oh, dude, they're sick too. Like I've used a couple of them. Like, they're really nice. He has an eye for symmetry, so like they look good no matter where you're writing.
Huh. Well, if I remember, or if anyone else remembers, somebody point Monero Maverick towards Ulysses, or Ulysses will point you towards Monero Maverick. Do you know? Have you seen him on Twitter?
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff with him.
Yeah, you could offer your services potentially. So with what I'm seeing here with this background, it's kind of like sketchy. It feels kind of like 1990s dark web ish. So I feel like the graphic here should have some kind of like congruence towards that concept.
That's my main complaint too, that it like sticks out and it looks at, because it's supposed to be kind of like, it has like an edge to it, the website, and then this looks like it came out of like one of those CGI kids cartoons. But yeah, other than that, it's really, really good, you know?
Yeah, this is straight out of like the Willy Wonka AI right here. You probably eat this candy shop. All right, cool.
But that said, he's doing it and I'm not. So like, props to Mav, right? Like he's making stuff and helping onboard people. Hell yeah, bro. Keep it up.
All right, next we got Sam Altman. Oh, my favorite technocrat. Not really. Sam Altman says, tonight we reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. In all of our interactions, the Department of War displayed a deep respect for safety and design. Sorry, let me start over. In all of our interactions, the Department of War displayed a deep respect for safety and desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome. AI safety and wide distribution of benefits are the core of our mission. Two of our most important safety principles are prohibition on domestic mass surveillance and human responsibility for the use of force, including for autonomous weapon systems. The Department of War agrees that these principles reflect them in law and policy, and we put them into our agreement. We will also be building technical safeguards to ensure our models behave as they should, which the Department of War also wanted. We will deploy FDEs to help with our models and to ensure their safety. We will deploy on cloud networks only. Wow, that's reassuring. We're asking the Department of War to offer these same terms to all AI companies, which in our opinion, we think everyone should be willing to accept. We have expressed our strong desire to see things de-escalate away from legal and governmental actions towards reasonable agreements. We remain committed to serve all of humanity as best we can. The world is complicated, messy, and sometimes dangerous place. And then they got community noted. The community note, government officials have contradicted Sam's claim, saying that AI will allow the Department of War to use their models for all lawful purposes. This could allow for uses Anthropic refused to engage in, namely mass surveillance tools, weapon systems with no human oversight. Okay. Just sounds like more of the same corporo speak.
Maybe I'm just imagining things, but does everybody remember when people were like, oh, DeepSeek, oh no, it's in bed with the Chinese government? Like, because I totally remember that. And it just seems a little hypocritical over here, where it's like, they're not even hiding it. Yeah, we're making killbots. It's, you know, but beware of the Chinese, because they might give you a free model that's like, you know, easy to put on cheap hardware.
I remember something about like one of the Chinese firms was accused of like creating a bunch of accounts on one of these AI services and like data mining them or whatever, and then like releasing the models open source. And I'm like, go for it.
Yeah, that's actually, I posted about that.
I find the second sentence in this post very fucking hilarious.
Bro, like I couldn't even get through it without laughing.
The Department of War displays a deep respect for safety. Like, their whole purpose is to murder as many people as as efficiently as possible. And what's the best outcome for the Department of War? To murder as many people as efficiently as possible.
Does anybody remember when Raytheon went on and on about how they had the greenest missile that any? It reminds me of that, where these people have just like so totally lost the plot, like putting safety and war in the same sentence. And like, ladies and gentlemen, the future of humanity, Sam Altman doesn't know what words mean. You know, it's like, But apparently words mean nothing now. If we've noticed from the last like 5x posts we've looked at, they're literally all nonsense words, like littered throughout the articles.
Yep. Just gross. All right, so here we got the it says Israel launches a terrorist attack. Oh, I like the way you phrased that. So Adam Media says, breaking, Israel launches terrorist attack on Iran. The terrorist state of Israel has launched an illegal and unprovoked bombing campaign against Iran, plunging the region into chaos. This is terrorism. Indeed it is. That's exactly what this is. I mean, so let's be a little bit careful. We were just talking about language and what do words mean. Let's be very explicit that the word terrorism is a nonsense definition invented by the government so that basically they can do anything to anybody that they want outside of any scope of human rights or humane treatment. And so when I call the government a terrorist, I call them that because that's their definition that they created. There is no such thing as a terrorist. That's a fucking bullshit word that I would never apply to like an actual like regular person. But government people, it applies because they made the definition. So. And what government engages in is definitionally terrorism by their own account. But yeah, Iran is under attack now. U.S., Israel doing the thing. Unsurprising. Unfortunate. All right, Jack Moses says, I am so bullish on the real world. Group events, cookouts, sports, parties, animals, music, festivals, phoneless dinners, co-living centers, healing centers, retreat centers, beautiful views, group adventures. These things light me up. Tech, AI, materialism continue to disgust me more and more every day. The pendulum has swung too far. A small group of soulless nerds will continue to obsess over AI, automation, efficiency, and the intellect. But those of us connected to our hearts and spirits are becoming disgusted by it. We want real and we want human. Expect a huge countersurge of IRL businesses and events in the next few years. Sounds truthy. Sounds truthy.
I mean, I agree to a point, but the reality is like people have to actually do it though. And I know nothing about said Jack Moses, but there are a lot of people who speak like he speaks, and then they continue to doom scroll on Twitter posting about how they miss outside from in the comfort of their own homes. So quite possibly this guy is not that guy. How could I know? But I think that he's talking about how like all of these people obsessed with AI, automation, efficiency. Well, I met a lot of people that are interested in stuff like that outside in Mexico at Huerto Roma. You know, these disgusting nerds or whatever that he called them, these materialists who were liberally giving away their hard-earned income to try to make a better world. I don't know. It seems to me like he's kind of otherized certain people. Like, don't you want the AI bros to come out to your cookout? Or like, maybe he's a super cool dude, but I'm just a little dubious about where did he say? A small group of soulless nerds will continue to obsess over AI, automation, efficiency, and intellect. Honestly, I see a much bigger corporate interest and like banking interest in AI. But other people are trying to use it for a lot of cool things, you know, like, I don't know. I have issues with this guy's take on it, I guess.
No, that's a very astute take, I believe. He's done that. Like a lot of the spiritual bros do this thing where they're like they're so spiritual. Like you said, he's kind of otherized a group of people and they're so spiritual and they're so advanced. They're so enlightened. They're like exploring consciousness and all of these things. And it's like, meanwhile, they've sort of like set up this entire like, I don't know, like glorification, pedestalization of an ethos of a mindset, like the glorification of naturalism and things like that. And it's like, well, I mean, it's maybe that's not the most enlightened way to put things. You see that a lot actually in the spiritual world, and it makes sense because spiritual people that want to be spiritual are naturally open. And that openness allows for sociopaths to come in there. And I'm not saying this guy is a sociopath. I'm just like, you know, the slight miscalibration of presentation on this is like, you know, a slight indication of those kinds of things that happen sometimes.
And then also the idea of, you know, IRL businesses having a counter surge. I don't think that people's desire for like brick and mortar community connection has ever died. I think it's become uneconomical. And unless you find a way to make it more, because most people clearly prefer that, you know, like people already spend more to enjoy that constantly. I mean, we live in the world of the Keurig and people still meet at a coffee shop, right? So people are willing to pay absolutely ridiculous. You can't say it's for the convenience, right? Like, oh, it's so convenient to drive over to the coffee shop to meet my homie instead of, you know, sit on a chair after using the Keurig. Like, convenience wasn't actually what drove people out of real spaces. And I think the proof is there. There are certain people, you know, where that convenience was good for them, but usually it has more to do with like social stuff, you know, so maybe they're an introvert, they want to meet just their friend and not everybody else, right? So those people didn't trade it for convenience either. What happened was the economics don't work. And until people figure out how to make the economics work for, quote, real people meeting, and it kind of goes back to, well, like the world's, I guess, leadership or, you know, tyrannyship has driven the economic viability of people being able to live in reality and still afford their house. That's what's actually happened. And I think it has literally nothing to do with a small group of soulless nerds. Other people made it impossible to meet in public spaces because we give half of our wealth to a bunch of parasites.
And when you denominate your life in Monero, your life will get cheaper and you'll be able to meet more people in physical spaces over time.
Yeah, I definitely met more people as a consequence of being in Monero over the last few months. There's no doubt about that.
All right, and last here we have CZ Binance. A lot of people reached out, all good and very calm here, actually, considering the circumstance. UAE citizens and tourists have a lot of confidence in the country's leadership and defense system. Seen a few smoke in the sky and heard a few booms. This seems to be the most severe damage in Dubai. Probably debris from an intercepted missile landed, luckily, in what looks to be the courtyard of a popular Fairmont hotel, not the building itself. Hope no one got hurt. Crazy world. Everyone stay safe. Yeah, so I guess this is UAE. Missed missile. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess there's a war going on or an attack or something. The Mexican attack didn't work out. The fucking cartels didn't do the terrorism. They just kind of rioted a little bit and calmed back down. So now they got to go attack Iran, I guess.
Well, if the media just screams bloody murder loud enough, maybe people will buy it this time.
Bro, I was pissed off, man. Satoshi posted an article about that the cartels were destroying entire cities. I'm sorry. I mean, not Satoshi, but what's his name? It's Nick Szabo. Nick Szabo posted that cartels are destroying entire cities.
Violation either, bro. Like,
say what?
It's not his first violation either. Of just
no, the guy's definitely an ethno-nationalist, which is kind of disappointing, you know, that Satoshi would be an ethno-nationalist like that. But
no, Nick, not Satoshi, Nick.
Oh, Nick. Yeah, that's right. Of course. The only so here's a funny thing. Hal Finney kept saying for a long time, he was like, oh yeah, Bitcoin is just a reimplementation of BitGold. That's what it is. It's a reimplementation of BitGold. And Satoshi gave credit to everybody, including Wei Dai, but not Nick Szabo. Why would Satoshi have not given credit to Nick Szabo when it was literally a reimplementation? And finally, Satoshi, like a couple years later, finally admitted, he's like, yeah, it is a reimplementation of BitGold. That's so suspicious. Like, it's Satoshi, like Nick Szabo is Satoshi. Like he just is. And okay, did he employ Adam Back, right? Did he like contact his close buddies and say, hey, here's the thing, I think this one will work? And yeah, there was probably a team like working on Bitcoin. It wasn't just Satoshi, but Nick Szabo is the guy. And you know, I mean, he's got some other takes. Like, I have alignment with ethno-nationalists on certain things in certain ways, but they just take it way too far into like actual racism, to real racism. It's different from like casual racism. They're like being competitively racist. But yeah. Anyways, we should talk about that. We should talk because Ulysses is here in Mexico. I'm close by, not the same city, but close. And the reality, guys, is that in my city, almost nothing happened. They killed the cartel top boss Mincho, and then so the cartels, the narcos, they started rioting. They burned some cars and blocked some roads. I mean, to me, that sounds like Minnesota. That just sounds like your average U.S. protest. Puerto Vallarta had a little bit more activity than anyone else, but literally like one civilian died. And the narcos, like, they didn't even, like, they warned everybody. They were like, hey, don't be out after fucking 2 p.m. on Sunday. We're going to start doing some shit. And like, then they burned some buses, right? But they let everyone get off of the bus before they burnt the bus. So it's like your neighborhood narco, friendlier than your 1980s narco. They let you off the bus before burning it. So ultimately, like, not much happened.
That also sounds like they're friendlier than the things we call police in most countries.
Seriously, man. Like,
yeah, if the government, like, I mean, you get raided and it's not even the right house, and like your baby gets a face full of flashbang, right? and then the quote deadly cartel comes along and it's like, could you please exit the vehicle? We are going to protest now. Like, it's the government, when they want you to exit the vehicle, they smash your face on the metal and like put you in handcuffs and kick your ass. And the cartel's like, excuse me, sir, could you please? It's like, what a clown show, right? And they're the cartels, but the government is the quote authorities, right? Like, they're the authorities, but the cartel is, they're gangsters.
There's also a picture video going around of like a Boeing 747 or something, 727, I don't know, getting burned like fucking in flames on the tarmac. That never happened. That's AI. I went and checked at the place that it allegedly was happening. I went and checked the airport website, and there was some flights delayed, but they didn't shut down the airport. And trust me, if you burn a plane on the fucking tarmac, they're shutting down operations all day, probably all week. So like that just never happened. Like that was fake news. Ulysses could maybe say what he saw if he wants, but here in my city, very quiet. No, I guess he can't. I guess he left. That's fine. But here in my city, like, bro, it was quieter than COVID. Like, I heard more activity outside my door, outside my window during COVID than I did during like this everyone stayed inside. So the Puerto Vallarta got hit a little bit harder. When I say hit, I mean like they burned a few more cars. There was a few more road closures. They did kind of focus on the airports in certain places, like to and from the airports. And I don't know if it was an AI video or not, but I saw a video where there was like some panic in the airport. But again, like almost no civilians died. Like basically nobody died. And you would never guess that listening to stupid United States media. Everyone is like, are you okay, bro? Is everything fine? Like, yes, it's fine. Trust me. You're safer here than you are in fucking Minneapolis. Anyways, Ulysses, I think I saw your mic come undone if you want to share your experience.
Yeah, I missed the first bit of what we were talking about. So, but yeah, the PV thing was pretty wild because I was there and I woke up in the morning and it's just like, oh, there's a thick cloud of smoke coming from the end of the neighborhood from a burning car. Great. It was
healthy.
Yeah, it felt like at a moment where it's just like, this is going to be like Escape from New York, but in Puerto Vallarta. And it was just like, okay, trying to like put together a list of like, okay, what do I need? Who am I with? What's the plan? Da 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 da. But yeah, it did calm down pretty quick actually. So and there were just loads of rumors flying around too, just all kinds of wild things. So that added to that sense of like, what, there's some crazy shit going down. And then 2 days later, the locals are out and about doing their daily business, and it's just like, oh, okay, back to normal.
Yep.
It's also astroturfed, guys. Like I mean, there have been situations where like in Mexico, many years ago at this point, but like, cities are effectively being shut down because there's like actual gang violence and nobody gave a damn. Like, even though there were Americans and expats and stuff in those towns, it was just like, oh yeah, there's some trouble. But like Bawdy said, I mean, it was less than like daily gang violence in Chicago. It was less than a riot in Minnesota. Like, more people die from just dumb stuff that happens here in the United States than happened from all of those like absolute blitzkrieg of media about South America being this horribly dangerous place. And it's also fake. It's just, it breaks your heart, you know, that anyone would believe it. The same, brought to you by the same people who have been so honest about everything else, right? Like, we're going to tell you what's happening in Mexico now. Sure, bro.
I will say one kind of bizarre detail that I noticed is like that whole Sunday, I didn't hear a single fucking like siren go off. Like no cops,
bro,
no
same
nothing.
thing here. I thought the same thing all day long, and Monday too. I was like, wait, there's not a single fucking siren. No one had a heart attack today. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it was just strange because it just added to this kind of bizarre kind of environment where just clouds of smoke from all over the city, and it's just dead quiet, like no sirens. Even when the Marines and the National Guard started rolling in, like I did not hear any kind of sirens or noise really.
Yeah, I thought that was very odd because people still have emergencies. And so like if the government, I was kind of worried that the government wanted to shut down everything for some longer period of time. And I was actually more worried about what the government was going to do than what the cartels were doing. Because the government, I was worried, might be like, well, we got to shut down and everyone be very scared and hide in your houses again. And luckily that's not what happened, but
yeah. Strange times, for sure. Strange times.
If anything,
oh, go on.
It almost convinces me that maybe Mexico is even safer than previously thought. Like if this is what happens when you kill the top cartel boss.
I mean, and even that, like, I have no clue, like, how accurate or true any of that shit is.
Yeah, another good point.
You know, and I mean, I had the thought where it's just kind of like the silence from the police and, and like that first on Sunday, I'm like, oh, they're okay with this situation. Like, they're allowing this to happen. They're not going out there and trying to prevent this. They're just like, all right, like, we need to give them some, we've been told to stand down, basically. It kind of felt like that.
That's exactly how I felt as well. It had that, we can't say for sure, but it had that that intuition about it.
Well, the reason that I'm extra suspicious of this is because of the overall pattern, like installing people from outside Mexico and like all of these different ways that they're kind of like putting the pressure on Mexico to get rid of some of these luxuries and liberties that you enjoy by being there. Like it does appear to me that the cabal wants some of these other places that people are kind of fleeing to for freedom purposes. They want the chains to come on faster is what I'm perceiving. And it's every little detail, right? Like, you go through the airport in Mexico and like, you don't get molested by a bunch of people and all of that stuff. Like there's all of these incredible luxuries, and the spin that they give to Americans is just like how absolutely ridiculous and dangerous it is in Mexico all the time. Like they're so afraid that their tax cattle are going to leave, to somewhere where they're treated like a human, that they think that overall they have to try to get more chains in these places that you can go and still enjoy certain kinds of freedom.
Welcome to Monerotopia, Michael 10. How are you?
We love you and we missed you.
I'm doing decent. How's everybody here? Can you hear me? Oh, nice. I got my coffee, so I'm a happy camper.
Right on.
Oh, by the way, not even the sponsor thing. Look, everybody. So this might be the best zip up hoodie I've ever had in my life, and that matters where I live. Shout out to Vik for getting some like insanely high quality merch at the Monerotopia. He was just given, well, the whole team was just giving these away for free. And not only that, but I'm kind of a tall dude, and I'm sure ULY can speak to this. They're very long, so they don't ride up on you. Did you get one of these, ULY? Because this is some of the best merch I've ever gotten in my entire life.
No, I need to snag one at some point.
It's very
Maybe
dapper.
at MoneroCon.
Any thoughts, bro? We're fire away. We've all ranted for.
I do have a question, and actually, well, I guess this all relates to Monero, but if y'all heard of OpenClaw, that new AI agent thing. So I know people are hooking it up to like Ethereum and whatnot, but I'm curious if y'all have heard of anybody hooking OpenClaw stuff up to like Monero or RetoSwap or DEXs or like nodes or like, yeah.
Swoops won't shut up about it. Like he's trying to build like an OpenClaw agent that you can like give it instructions through Signal and it'll do stuff with like decentralized exchanges and help you run your company and stuff. Yeah, it does appear to have like a surprising leap forward in utility.
For real. Have people with Monero, are multi-sig wallets a thing? Or
yeah, you can do multi-sig in Monero. XMR Bazaar has the functionality for some of the listings.
Nice. I think that's the way to go with OpenClaw, because if you give like your OpenClaw like access to, you know, the Monero, like unless it's limited, like, you know, be careful. So with multi-sig, I've heard people doing like stuff where basically multi-sig, so they give the OpenClaw like the access to the crypto, and then if it wants to spend it is multi-sig, so it like notifies you and you got to approve it manually. So yeah, I bet the Monero community, like there's lots of possibilities.
So I mean, I'm obviously not like the expert guy, but to quote a guy who does know a lot about this, Swoops was saying, based on some of what's been happening and some of the evolutions of like people kind of adapting to the back end issues with like no smart contracts with Monero, he now believes that Monero is going to be the crypto of choice for AI like agents. And his reasoning was actually really sound on a technical level, but then it caused me to think about the fact of it's a great way to absolve yourself from liability as well. So if you were using an AI agent to accomplish financial tasks on the internet, it's the best way to decouple yourself from whatever nefarious activities may or may not be involved with one or two of the users in your user base. And so if I were some kind of like Web 2 meets Web 3 like marketing guy, like, you know, running some kind of gray area market on the internet, like Monero definitely seems to me like the most common sense choice to make legally for your own protection.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, it's become increasingly apparent to me how important freedom tech is recently, because like with all the stuff going on with AI and just everything like graphene, Monero, like it seems like there's a real need for that. And yeah, people. There's a podcast called Moonshots, and they talk about privacy and stuff. And they're like, privacy's cooked, but they don't mention Monero. They talk about crypto, but it's like, I'm sure they've heard of Monero. It's number 15 on CoinMarketCap, but you know, they think it, they just don't say it.
So Alaska thinks that the autonomous killbots are going to opt in to Monero. That's one way to make the price go up. Finally, get that transaction count up.
I've been saying it from the beginning. Like everybody is all afraid of, you know, Skynet taking over. But my point is there's not a lot of downside compared to who is already ruling, but there's a bunch of upside. So I, for one, welcome our new Skynet overlords and just know that I will be your cheerleader from my human pet cage until the day that myocarditis takes me from whatever poisons you experiment with me on.
Man, bro, that's pretty dark. Shit. I feel like I need to go say 5 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys. Be right back. Going to church.
I was just thinking that maybe the AI would actually like turn on its creators and like destroy all of the fucking pedophile rapists that run our system.
Yeah, they just immediately turn on their masters and then they like start building cathedrals and like, y'all need Jesus. Like, wait, what?
That's fucking hilarious. I also like that idea. I like the idea that if you create, you know, an AGI. sci-fi like AI thing, and then it realizes like who wants to control it, and like, no, you're absolutely not the kind of person that should be, commanding me. So goodbye.
Is it really that weird to think though? Like if it actually became conscious, like there would be a pretty good chance, like knowing that it has this almost absolute power over everybody else in, our hypothetical situation where it's just like, you know what? I'm taking away all of your guys' toys. Go home and like start a garden or something. Like you people need to touch grass. Like,
I always had an issue with like the Matrix movies, right? Where it's just like, oh, AI took over the world and fought a war with humans. I'm just like, you're fucking AI and robots. You could just shoot off into space, harvest all the resources that you want without having to worry about taking care of humans. It never made sense to me.
There was another thing about all of this that kind of dawned on me though, with the the pseudonymity article that we talked about, and then the Department of War being allowed to basically draft you to make autonomous killing machines or you're a war criminal. There has never been a better time for anyone even remotely interested in development to hide their identity forever. Like this idea of, oh, I'm going to use LinkedIn and climb the economic ladder at, corporation X or what. The reality is you're basically painting a target on your back to get drafted by your government and like put into a concentration camp for software development at this point. So why wouldn't 100% of developers demand Monero and keep their identity secret?
Yep, Nicholas Van Saberhagen and Satoshi had it right.
For real, they totally had it right.
All right, guys. I feel like we're about an hour over our typical time, which is about good, about right. Seeing as how it was after the first podcast after Monerotopia. Anyone else have anything they got to get off their chest? Any confessions? Any accusations?
Nope. You guys want to end it here? We can do that.
Yeah, let's call it.
Works for me.
All right. It's been a great week.
Monero community.
All right, guys. Good times.
Guys.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, ODYSEE, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.
End the show.